What's up? Ghost Fictions is here, and we're back again. This is the first part of a story where Issei become the successor of Sung Jin-woo. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations. Also, this is a translate version, you may find some mistakes, specifically in the character's gender. Issei of course is a male, this time no changes in the genders. Now, let's get into part 1. For years 3 races fought to see who had the right to rule the world. The angels, the fallen angels, and the devils, where they fought without fear of death. But in those fights there is always someone who manages to stand out more than anyone else, and that is the case of a devil who came from a lower class and over the years became someone with a lot of power. Getting the position of general being one of the most respected like Leviathan, Beelzebub and Asmodeus. Where Lucifer being their leader gave him the surname of Haidu to increase his reputation. Haidu with his ability to control darkness, destroyed many enemies and was praised by his companions. The years passed and the wars continued where the devils were gaining territory thanks to the ideas of Beelzebub and Haidu, since they were both very smart. Haidu may have always seemed serious, but he was someone who cared for his family more than anything and would do anything to see them happy, no matter how many he would have to kill. Many knew of his power, but there was something that no one knew about him, and that was that he possessed another ability, and that was that with his power of darkness, he could bring the dead back to life where he discovered it by chance and was surprised. At that moment he decided to keep that secret since he knew what Lucifer was like when it came to gaining more power, and he would do anything to force him to do what he wanted. At that moment he decided to save all the information that he discovered and that only his descendants could obtain in the future. The years passed again, and the Haidu clan was able to have its first descendants where the patriarch was happy to have more in his family. Where over time they were growing and he was introducing them with what he knew. The patriarch could see that they had the same abilities, only one was stronger than the other, but he still did pay attention to it. Over the years, they joined the army and were in his father's battalion, where they were happy to fight with him, but they also noticed that he was very strict on the battlefield, so they also changed that attitude. The war was coming to an end where the leaders of 3 factions were facing each other, all tired since not long ago they fought against 2 heavenly ranked dragons. Patriarch Haidu was the most tired of all since he had fought more than anyone else, and at one point he was about to show his ability, but he refused and just used what he had. The minutes passed and in that the leaders decided to retreat since no one had the strength to fight, but the Patriarch Haidu seeing that made a decision, and that was to revive both dragons where the leaders turned around and were in shock since they saw 2 black dragons in front of them. Haidu, I'm sorry but this war must end here. Lucifer, since when do you have that ability? Biblical God. We decided to retreat since no one is in a condition to fight. Haidu, I know, but this war must come to an end, and now is the best time. It's a shame that the fallen angel escaped there, but I don't have any more magic to follow him, since I used it all to revive those 2. Asmodeus, perhaps you were planning to betray us. Issei, no, but I have a family and they come first more than anything. Raising his hand and sending both dragons to attack where the leaders had more options to fight, but had everything to lose, since they had no energy to fight. Haidu just fell to his knees and spat out a lot of blood as he was badly injured from the wars. Haidu, I hope my children take care of their families just as I did. Closing his eyes with a smile, minutes later the others arrived, and upon seeing their leaders were in shock, especially the brothers upon seeing their father there lifeless, but with a smile. Time passed and the 3 races decided to end the war by forming a slight peace treaty. Where in the underworld they decided to put new mass to keep the peace. The years passed and the Haidu clan continued to have great descendants, making the family more famous and having the respect of many clans. Currently the clan had 3 heirs, the eldest being Ren, 12 years old, Kenji, 11 years old, and Issei, the youngest of all, who was 10 years old. Where to their parents' surprise all 3 had been born with the power of darkness where they were glad since their fame could continue. But they noticed how Issei's power was the weakest and that he could barely manifest it. The father being the patriarch, noticing that, put it aside and concentrated on the elders since he noticed more potential in them. Issei, upon noticing this, did not become discouraged, but on the contrary, he became more encouraged to train and thus become like his powerful father since he was currently a high-level general. Issei trained as he could since he did it on his own since his brothers did not want to help him, on the contrary they humiliated him for being weak. Issei just smiled and left the place to train. He went to a place alone where when he arrived he found someone else there. Issei. Hello Sarerg, how are you doing? Sarerg. Fine but I see what happened again. Issei. That's how things are, but it doesn't matter you are ready to train. Sarerg. Hahaha obviously, but you have to be ready for my fists. Issei. I always am. Saraerg just nodded and went against Issei, hitting him several times with his fists and not having a spark of consideration for Issei. The minutes passed and Issei found himself on the ground, all tired from the fight. Issei. I still have a long way to go. Saraerg. You're doing well, don't worry, nothing is easy, you should know that. Issei. I know, but I want to be like my father. Saraerg. I hope you come because only you can be my general. Issei. Ha 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 ha, this is how the next Mao will be. Saraerg. You'll see, we have to achieve our goals. Stretching out his fist just like Issei, where they both clashed with a big smile. Saraerg. But it will be a long road, and I must also prove that I am the best in the raiding game. Issei. When you give me my evil pieces you must have a fight with me. Saraerg. Only if you wish for defeat. Issei. Not at all, then I will prove it to you now. Taking a few steps back and taking an attacking position just like Saraerg, and seconds later they both went on the attack. A few weeks had passed where the boy named Issei trained often to have his father's approval, but all efforts were in vain, since they always left him aside, especially when seeing the mocking smiles of his brothers. There were moments when he wanted to give up, but he put it aside since nothing is easy in life, and that was little Issei's thought. He was walking around his house and decided to rest a little since it is not good to just train, and decided to explore the house since there were things that he still did not know about it. As he walked through the halls he saw photos of his ancestors and was happy to come from a big family. Issei continued on his way and went to his father's office, where she was alone since right now he was training his brothers. He put that thought aside and looked for a book to learn more about his family, since it was unique to him. Having a book, he went to sit in his father's office and put the book on the table and began to read with great joy. While moving his little feet and accidentally hit the furniture, Issei heard a noise as if something fell to the floor, and out of curiosity he looked down and saw a small book that surprised him, and he took it and did not see any title. Still, he put it on the table and opened it and was surprised to find that it was the diary of the first patriarch, and with that news he began to read it because he was curious. The more he read, the more surprised he was to learn how his heritage was formed. Issei. Wow, all this is new since my parents didn't say much about where the first patriarch came from. Continuing with the reading until he reached the end and was surprised with what he read. Haidu. This war will never end, but I still have to fight to keep my family safe. Not long ago I discovered a secret about my ability that I discovered by mistake, and that is that I can bring the dead back to life in a black mass. This is something unique and could help us end our war, but if Lucifer finds out about this he will do everything he can to control me, and he will use my family for that, so it is best not to tell anyone except my family. If in the future someone finds that diary, please do not spread too much about its contents, especially if we are at war. Issei finished reading and was more surprised to know that his family possessed another ability much more powerful than normal. But he put that aside and took the book and left the room, heading to the training camp since he wanted to tell his father about his discovery and maybe get a smile from him. When he arrived at the place, he no longer found his brothers alone. Issei. Brothers, do you know where father is? Ren. Why do you want to know? Do you want to be scolded again? Kenji. You better go, don't you know that we have to train and you're just getting in the way? Issei. But. Kenji. But nothing, get out of here or you will be punished. Issei, upon hearing that, left since he didn't want to fight and decided to wait until dinner time. Minutes later the whole family was eating quietly in a great building-like silence. Issei. Father, I have something to tell you. Eru. Don't bother me, don't you know any manners? Issei. But it's something important. Miki. Don't bother your father with your nonsense just for that, go to your room. Issei just nodded and left the dining room. Eru. The day has come. Ren. Seriously, that's great at last. Kenji. But he has interacted with many people. Eru. This is part of the family tradition since in the past we have worked it out. Miki. Besides, who can doubt our words? Ren. It's true, so he'll stop bothering me. Meanwhile Issei was still in his room with the diary, where he only let out a sigh and lay down on the bed while hugging him. Hours later Issei woke up from a fall and saw in front where his family was. Issei. What's going on, where are we? Eru didn't say anything with a serious face, but his brothers were something else as they were smiling. Issei was about to say something until he noticed how the door was closed. Seconds later the place caught fire, and Issei got scared when he saw that and started screaming with all his might for help, but it was all in vain. Issei. Father, mother, brothers, help me, this hurts please. Kenji. Only then will we be stronger to continue the family legacy. Ren. You just had bad luck. Issei. But. He did not continue as the fire continued, and Issei became more and more scared, and then he slammed the door lock and saw his family leaving the place. Issei. I'll die here, this isn't fair. Shedding a few tears as she expected that to happen to her. At that moment he decided to let everything happen and closed his eyes to await his destiny. When he closed them he heard the fire consuming everything in its path and it got closer and closer to him, but seconds later he heard nothing and opened his eyes, but only saw darkness. So who are you? Issei. Who's there? At that Issei heard some footsteps and looked around, but nothing, and when he turned around he saw a dangerous man. Issei. Who are you? Someone from the past, you might say. But let's leave that aside. Issei. Why did this happen to me? Have you ever wondered why you don't have more relatives? Issei hearing that looked up and saw the man with his neutral face. Issei. We are devils and it is rare for so many to be born. Yes it is, but our family is special because that doesn't apply to us and we can have many descendants. Like your current family. Issei. But who are you? I'm just the first one. Issei. But I never saw you in the paintings in the house. It's a long story, but we were two brothers and when our father died, I took over from my father as the new patriarch. My brother, on the other hand, didn't like that and he put something in my drink and I ended up in the same place as you. And over time, the same thing happened to more people. Issei. Someone must have noticed. Who knows what will happen? They think that by killing a family member they will have more power, but it is a lie. Issei. Then I was only born to die. That's right. If my father saw all this he would be very disappointed by the path this family took. Because for him the most important thing was his family, not his achievements. Besides, you also found his diary, just like me, you're lucky. Issei. It's no use now I'm here too haha. At that the person crouched down to be at Issei's height and with his usual serious look spoke to him. You can't die yet Issei since you have a mission, and that is to restore the honor of our family. Issei. But they are strong. I know but I'll give you something. Putting his hand on his head where Issei didn't understand what happened but didn't ask. This will help you become stronger and only my father and I had it and now you are the third since it is partly hereditary. To be strong you will have to fight and perhaps on some occasions you may be on the verge of death. I died because I was trusting and well I had no tolerance to poison and well maybe you do. Issei. What's your name? The person just gave a small smile and then stood up. I am the only one who did not have a last name and it is not that I did not deserve it, it is because my father decided so, but well, it is time for you to go, it is time for you to start. Where a black shadow began to envelop Issei. Issei. What's your name, tell me. Sung. Issei didn't finish listening, he was already in another place and when he looked around he saw only trees. He was about to say something, but he saw a screen in front of him. Alarm. You have completed all the requirements necessary to be the next successor. Issei didn't know what to say when he read that, but seconds later he fainted from how tired he felt. Little Issei was waking up as a ray of light was hitting his face, and as soon as he woke up he saw the screen. Quest directions. Quest of the day. Prepare to become strong. Goals. Incomplete push-ups. 0-100. Incomplete sit-ups. 0-100. Incomplete sit-ups. 0-100. Incomplete squats. 0-100. Incomplete running. 0-10 kilometers. Warning. If you fail to complete this daily quest you will receive the punishment associated with this quest. Issei seeing that opened his eyes wide at such a goal he had to accomplish. But he came out of his astonishment and began to train since they previously told him that he had those tests. Where he didn't have much difficulty since he had been training for that since he was little so he didn't have much difficulty. Minutes later Issei was tired more from running than tiredness since he had never done that running before. Seconds later the ad appeared again showing that he had met all the requirements. Seconds later Issei could see his status and was a little surprised by his stats. Status. Name. Issei. Level. 1. Job. None. Fatigue. 0. Idle. None. HP. 10. MP. 10. Strength. 50. Vitality. 25. Agility. 30. Intelligence. 45. Senses. 35. Points remaining. 3. Issei. I must become stronger with this so I can do what I promised to do, clear the family name. Leaning back against a tree and closing his eyes to rest as he got a little tired from the exercises. A few hours later Issei felt someone trying to wake him up and when he opened his eyes, he saw a girl with pigtails. Are you okay? Issei. If you need anything. Nothing but I saw you here and I thought something had happened to you. Issei. I just decided to take a break. I see, my name is Shidu Arena and you. Issei. I am Hayu. I mean my name is Issei. You don't have a last name. Issei. I don't have a family. Lowering their gazes, Irina, seeing that, just stroked his head, and Issei raising his gaze, saw a smile from her. Irina. Don't worry, tell me what you think about going with me and my parents. Issei. You shouldn't say that, I'm a stranger. Irina. I can see in your eyes that you are a good boy. Issei. I see. At that, Irina took Issei's hand and took him to where her parents were, where they didn't take long to arrive since they were near a lake. When they saw Issei, they were more surprised than the father, who put on a serious look. Daughter, who is that boy? Irina. This is Issei and he is my new friend. Come here, I want to talk to him. Irina. But. Listen to your father, okay? Irina just nodded and went to her mother, and father went to Issei and asked him to follow him, where they parted ways with the two women. What is a devil doing here? Issei was surprised to hear that and took a few steps back. Tell me or you will know the consequences. Issei. My parents kicked me out of my house. And that would be why. Issei. I don't know. But don't worry, I'll leave right now since I don't want to bother your family. Turning to leave the place, but the man grabbed him by the shoulder. You must know that my daughter likes you, and if she finds out that you left, she will blame me and hate me. For now you will go live with us because I have the feeling that is what she will want. Issei. That would be a lot. It's okay, don't worry, but seeing how polite you are, I can guess that you are noble. Issei. Hehehe, I was, but now I'm someone normal. Would you tell me what your last name was? Haidu. The person was surprised upon hearing that surname because he obviously knew who that clan was. You must have done something very bad to be here. Issei. My only crime was being born. The man could see in her gaze how bad she felt and how her eyes were losing their shine. I see, but anyway, let's go back, they'll be waiting for us. Giving Issei a small smile and leaving the place since she wanted to force the little one to talk. When she arrived, Irina was happy to see him and took him by the arm to take him to play. Honey, what's up? Well, that kid doesn't have it easy and he comes from the Haidu clan. What could have happened for it to end up here? I don't know, but he doesn't want to talk about it, maybe in the future he'll tell us. By looking at your eyes I can tell that you already know what to do. I'm going to adopt him. You know the church won't be too happy about that, especially knowing that it comes from that clan, since they could use it for some experiments. Besides, you know we have to leave soon. I know, but I already have an idea, besides he is very smart despite being very young. I see, and I will always support you with whatever you decide. Giving me a hug, which he reciprocated as he watched the children play. The days passed and the man told Issei about his idea, and before he could respond, Irina went ahead and accepted for him with a big smile. Issei, seeing Irina's joy, only half smiled and accepted since he wanted to see her happy. After that they went to the offices where they gave Issei the surname Shidu, which he gladly accepted. The days passed and Issei went to train every morning to complete the quests that the system gave him. Every now and then, Mr. Shidu taught him a little about the use of his sword to help him. One night Issei and Mr. Shidu were in the living room while the rest were resting. Issei, I know it hasn't been that long since you arrived, but I have to tell you something. Issei. I get the idea. I see, we'll be leaving here in a week for Italy, where Irina can train. You won't be able to go with us because we don't want anything to happen to you. Issei. I understand and it's okay. But don't worry, I already have everything ready, you will go to the United States, I have already arranged the papers for a boarding school. Issei. Thank you very much. Don't be afraid to call me father, the truth is I would like to since you are now my son. Issei, hearing that, just nodded but with a big smile. Issei. Thank you, father. I will become strong to be able to protect them in the future. I have no doubt about that, I know you will achieve great things. They continued talking about what would happen, and the days passed where both children continued with their games, where Issei was happy with how Irina always smiled. Until the day of Irina's departure arrived, where the family was at the airport and Issei with his suitcases heading to the United States. Irina. I don't want to get away from Ani-chan, please, I want to go with him. Daughter, it is for your own good, understand? Irina. Please, I don't want to go. Issei. Irina, don't worry, we'll see each other again in the future, and I'll take care of you, I promise. Extending her pinky where Irina saw that, she wiped her tears and smiled at Issei, and also took Issei's pinky. Irina. It's okay, I'll be strong too to help you. Giving him a smile and a hug, and then the parents gave Issei a hug, and they both went their separate ways. Issei. I promise to be strong. With a determined look he went to his destination. Issei was looking at the scenery of the sky during his flight. Issei thoughts. I promise to come back, and when I do I swear on my life that I will clear my ancestors' family name. And I will also take care of you, Irina, I promise. With a half smile and seeing his state that was still at level 1 but still not discouraged and decided to rest since the trip was going to be long. Some time later, more specifically a week, Issei was training his daily routines in his room, and having what he needed, he went out to run to complete the 10 kilometers. At the end of his training he was given a key as a gift, which he found strange, and when he saw the indication it said that he had to go to a certain place. Issei knew he could N''T leave the place he was in without permission, so he waited until nightfall. Hours later Issei found himself running through the streets towards his destination until he arrived, and when he did it was an underground train station. But that he took out the key and entered his destination, and when he did he was surprised because everything was different. Alarm. You cannot leave the dungeon without killing the boss or return crystal. Issei. I see, but the truth is this will be a challenge for me, so I will fulfill my mission, and I will not leave without killing that boss. Starting to walk to the place until thanks to his devil senses he could feel something approaching him. At that, a red wolf appeared with a murderous intent directed towards Issei, who did not flinch. On the contrary, he became serious and took out a dagger from his storage and took an attack position. At that the wolf launched itself against Issei, where he simultaneously went against him, where he divided him in half. But at that Issei took guard again as he felt more presences, where he was a little surprised since there were many. Issei. It was obvious that this wouldn't be very easy to do. Going on the attack against all the wolves. Minutes later Issei was on his knees, tired of killing so many wolves, and then he opened his state. Status. Name. Issei. Level. 18. Job. None. Fatigue. 72. Title. Wolf Slayer. HP. 2220. MP. 350. Strength. 100. Vitality. 95. Agility. 70. Intelligence. 85. Senses. 90. Issei. This wasn't as easy as I thought, but it was worth it. Now my level went up suddenly. This is great. Forming a smile on his face, he sat down for a while to rest. Minutes later he was in front of a set of stairs that led him further down. Issei. The boss must be there. It won't be that easy, but I won't give up. Now that I think about it, the person who saved my life told me that I could summon shadows too, but I couldn't handle the wolves. Maybe my level is too weak. Well, he had his hand on his chin, but he left it for later since for the moment it was more important to fight the boss. In doing so he came across several enemies where he had no difficulty in defeating them. Until he reached his destination and was surprised to see a big snake. Rulers of the Blue Poseidon Fangs Risaka Swamps. Issei noticed that the name was in orange, so he assumed it was much stronger than the previous ones. He then launched an attack with all his strength, but as soon as his dagger hit the snake's skin, it broke into several pieces. Issei. He has very tough skin. Using his arm as a shield as he noticed how the snake's tail was going towards him, causing him to fly away and crash into a wall and spit blood from the impact. Issei quickly got up and evaded a blow from the snake and instead hit it with his hands without having any other choice. But it hurt a little because of his skin, but he still did not give up and continued, where at the same time he received attacks where on some occasions his bones broke. Even so, he continued to get up because he remembered that he had a mission to do, and when he remembered all the bad things he had experienced, he got angry and went against the snake, where he grabbed it under the head and began to apply pressure. Issei was very upset because after so many years he had never let it out, since he always had a smile despite how they treated him. He heard the snake's screams and still put more pressure. After that the snake died and the corpse fell on the ground, where Issei was breathing heavily since it was not easy for him. Then he received a notification that he had won. Alarm. You have killed the ruler of the swamp's Blue Poseidon Fangs Risaka. And he was surprised because they gave him 2 rewards when he saw the cattle. Being the item. Risaka Poison. Item class. A. Type. Potion. Item. Inside Risaka. Item class. C. Type. Dagger. Attack. Plus 25. Issei was happier for the dagger since he had a new weapon to defend himself. And that he noticed how the dungeon began to change, and in seconds it returned to normal. Issei, noticing this, got up with the strength he had and went to the bathroom. And once inside his inventory he took out a phoenix tear, which was the only thing his father gave him before his departure. Issei. I'll have to use it sooner than expected, but still thank you, father. Taking her where her wounds began to heal and her strength returned. Issei after that left the bathroom and headed to the academy again, since it was later than he thought and he had to study. The days passed and his routine did not change, where it was only training and studying. He hoped that they would give him another key so he could return to a dungeon and become stronger, but unfortunately he did not get anything. On the contrary, he was curious to know what would happen if he didn't do his exercises, so on one occasion he didn't do it and was surprised by the punishment since he was teleported to a desert and to his surprise creatures appeared where he had no other option but to defend himself for several hours in order to finish his punishment. At the end of time, Issei returned to the place where he was before, all sideways and with few injuries since he spent most of his time running or flying. Issei. I won't go back to that place, it's very difficult. Laying down at home and falling asleep as he was very tired. Time later, more specifically 4 years, where Issei was 14 years old, where during that time he spent his time training non-stop, training in dungeons and doing the daily exercises. For someone his age he was very tall and in good shape, where several women could N''T help but be fascinated by his appearance, but Issei for his part didn't pay attention to it. At that time he called Irina, but after 2 years he could no longer communicate with her since his father had informed him that she had started her exercises with the church. Issei could only wish her good luck and he continued with his thing. Issei was with his classmates heading to France on behalf of the school as a farewell to the middle school graduation. He for his part was alone since he did not socialize much, but that part was the one that the women liked the most where several boys felt angry with him. Issei thoughts. I'll enjoy this trip and take a break from my training. Closing their eyes to get some sleep as it would be a long trip. Hours passed and the group arrived at their destination, where a bus took them to the hotel where several students took the opportunity to take photos. Issei just looked at the view and partly liked it since it was unique to see. Upon arriving at their hotel, everyone went to their room to leave their things, where minutes later they went down again and left the hotel with a guide who took them to various places. Hours later it was already night and the bus was returning to the hotel being 2 floors where most were downstairs because it was cold. Issei was one of the few who was upstairs because he was enjoying the view. But at that moment he felt a demonic aura not far from there. He looked to the sides and when he noticed that no one was watching him, he jumped off the bus and went to the place where he was. Where it did not take him long to arrive and where he entered a cave and when removing some boxes he saw a black-haired girl with some wounds and fainted. Issei approached her and noticed that she was very weak, especially due to malnutrition. Issei let out a sigh and took her in his arms as he wanted to know what was going on for there to be devils nearby. Where he took her under a bridge and from his inventory, he took out what he needed and healed her. Minutes later she was opening her eyes and the first thing she saw was Issei sitting near her while he looked at the campfire. She stood up suddenly and took up an attack stance. Issei. If I had wanted to kill you, I wouldn't have bothered to heal your wounds. Placing a plate with food near him for her. The girl continued with her serious face, but when she didn't notice any hostility from Issei, she approached him and took the plate and began to eat quickly since she was hungry from eating so fast that she choked and Issei put a bottle of water in front of her. At the end there was a silence that she broke minutes later. Because you saved me. Issei. I just want to ask one question. What is it? Issei. What the hell are you doing here since it's no coincidence? I'm just escaping. Issei. What about? From the devil since I did something to save my sister. Issei. And her. I left her somewhere else so she would be safe and everyone would look for me. Issei. What did you do? I killed the king who served me because he wanted to have sex with my sister. Issei. I see. Without taking his eyes off the fire and keeping his face neutral where the girl didn't know what to say because of his attitude. And what are you doing here? Issei. Just a trip. You are also a devil, but your aura is very weak. Issei. I know but well, it would be better if you went. Giving her a bag of money which she was surprised to see. Issei. I hope this helps you escape from here. Because you helped me. Issei. I don't know. She didn't ask anything else and got up and started walking but stopped and turned around. I will pay you in the future and by the way my name is Kuroka, thanks for everything Naya. Leaving the place where Issei only formed a small smile and stayed there. Hours later he returned to the hotel where unfortunately for him the teacher was waiting for him and not very happy. Where Issei received a scolding but he did not take it important and then went to rest. The following days were normal where he had no problems with anyone and just relaxed where he only had to do the exercises of the day. The day of returning arrived, which took a few hours to arrive again, and then the day of graduation arrived, where several said goodbye since they would not see each other again. Several girls approached Issei and gave him several letters, and as soon as they finished they ran away with a smile. He just let out a sigh and took them away, since it would be rude not to at least read them. A month later he entered high school where he entered and began to explore his new school. Minutes later everyone was called to the auditorium where he went and sat down, and after an hour of talking, everyone went to their first class which for Issei would be math. Upon arriving, the teacher formed groups so that they could help each other, where several knew each other and formed groups. Issei, to his bad luck, did not have anyone, so he decided to work alone, but then someone put his seat near him, and Issei noticed a blonde-haired girl with a smile. Several boys were whispering about Issei's fate where he could clearly hear. Why did she go with him? It must be out of pity, I suppose, since at our previous school, no one had the courage to confess to him. As luck. Issei just let out a sigh at the comments and assumed it would be a long few years. I hope we get along. Extending his hand with a smile where Issei just took it and nodded. Where the class began where both boys had no difficulty with the explanation since for Issei that was very easy. An hour later the class ended and everyone went to their next class, where Issei took out his schedule and looked for the next classroom. What a surprise, we have the same class, come on, I know where the classroom is. Being close to him where Issei just nodded and then they left and she took a seat near him. Classes continued and to Issei's relief the next classes would be far away from them. At the end of classes Issei left the academy and noticed a girl at the exit and she smiled when she saw him. Can you come with me, I want to tell you something. Some managed to hear that and cursed Issei. Issei. Okay. Where she started walking and Issei followed her where they went to a secluded place and when she turned around she saw Issei with a serious look. What are you planning here, devil? Issei. Just study. Don't talk nonsense. If you leave this academy I won't hurt you, but if you stay you will know the consequences. Issei. I'm not going anywhere. Successor. The blonde-haired girl was surprised to hear that and took an attack stance, and when she was about to say something Issei raised his hands. Issei. I don't want an unnecessary fight so let's leave it at that. You're a devil. Issei. And what does that have to do with it? Do you think that the dragon that is with you is innocent? He has caused many deaths just for fun. The girl, upon hearing that, just lowered her gaze. Issei. And you accuse me of only wanting to study. If I had wanted to kill someone, I wouldn't come to an academy since I would just wait for them to come out. But they told me that all devils are like that. Issei. Who? Someone from a church that is not far from there. Issei. He must be an exorcist if he says that. Then we leave this unnecessary fight alone, and I have to go home late. How did you know I'm the Successor? Issei. Even if you manage to hide your aura, I can still detect it. Lying since the system had informed him about her when he first saw her. I see, and Drake just told me that you have no bad intentions. Issei. I see if that's all I'll be leaving. Wait, how about we start again? My name is Hanami. Issei. Issei. I am Shidu. Issei. And from what I notice your name is Japanese. Issei. My father is Japanese and my mother is American, and that's why I have that name. Although the truth is I've never been to Japan haha. Issei. I see then I left. Issei. Wait Shidu-kun, we can be friends. Issei. Why? Issei. The truth is that not long ago I found out about this supernatural and well. He said it with some embarrassment. Issei. How long have you been in the supernatural? Issei. Like 2 months. Issei. And that's how you plan to fight, you must know that there are strong people outside and no one would talk to you. Issei. I was lucky to meet you I guess. Issei. What do you want to know? Issei. Let's go to a coffee shop to be more comfortable, okay? Issei just nodded and both of them started walking where it only took them 5 minutes to reach their destination and where Issei noticed that most of the students were there. After taking their orders they went to look for seats. Issei. Drake doesn't tell me much since he just spends his time sleeping. Issei. I'll just say that you must become strong since very powerful enemies are coming after you. Issei. And that's because of me. Issei. You are the Successor, one of the 2 celestial dragons, you must know that they are very powerful and all factions want to have at least one on their side. Issei. Wait, you said 2. Issei. Your partner will inform you of that in time. Issei. I don't know what I'll do. Issei. You have someone strong on your side and your duty is to train to be able to protect yourself and your family. Besides, I can see that you made the decision to be a dragon. Issei. Drake gave me the option and I finally accepted. Issei. Good, this way you won't have any difficulties with the training he gives you. Issei. I thought you weren't going to help me because of the way I spoke to you. Issei. It's normal that you acted like that. Don't show too much of your power or someone might kill you or make you a slave. Issei. Slave. Issei. Devils have something called evil pieces that allow them to reincarnate humans with sacred gear. And if they try to betray their king, they will be punished. Issei. And you have that? Issei. No, since I left the underworld years ago. Now I just have a normal life like anyone else. Issei. Shidu-kun, could you help me train? Issei. There are things that must be done alone, and I must do them too, and sometimes it takes me a long time. Issei. And why do you train? Issei. To fulfill a promise. Issei. I see, but I still want you to help me. Extending his hand with a smile. Issei. You trust people so quickly, you don't believe it. Issei. Maybe, but even though you have that cold look, I can tell that you always speak the truth, and that's enough for me. Issei. I see. Issei. And if in the future you also have those evil pieces, I promise to be in your group. Issei. Because. Issei. I have a feeling I'll never get bored with you, hahaha. Issei. I'd have to think about it. She heard that and stopped going and saw Issei with a pout where he only formed a half smile, causing her to smile afterwards, since it was the first time she looked at him like that. On the other hand, a group of boys looked at this with great jealousy, since the closeness between them could not grow. After that talk, they both went their separate ways towards their house, where Issei took a rest upon arrival and then went to sleep. The next day Issei was in physical education class with other classes, and then someone touched his back, and when he turned around he saw Issei with a smile. Issei. Hey, are you ready for another day? Issei. I guess. Issei. You're boring if you say few words, you should talk more like yesterday. Issei. Maybe I should have fought you. Upon hearing that, she began to hit Issei lightly to annoy him. He was about to say something, but a group arrived. Issei. Upon hearing her name, she looked to her left and saw the group. Issei. I have something for you, Frank. Frank. You shouldn't hang out with that person. Just by looking at his eyes I can tell that he's not a trustworthy person. Issei. He's my friend, so it's okay, you can go. Frank. How can that be possible if they barely know each other? Classes just started yesterday. Issei. We have some things in common, and I don't like people meddling in my business, so I ask you to leave. Frank. But we've known each other since middle school. Plus, you know how I feel. Issei. I only see you with one friend, and you've changed a lot over time. It's best to end our friendship. Frank. You better take back what you just said, since you need to know who my family is. By then many people had approached the group to see what was happening. Issei just stood there still without saying anything other than that he was getting into trouble for someone. Issei. You're threatening me. You should know the consequences if you do that. Frank. How much money do you want to get away from her? Issei, upon hearing that voice, saw the boy and felt a chill when he saw his serious eyes. Issei. For your information, she's coming towards me. I didn't call her. Starting to walk away, but Frank's friend stopped him. Frank. You think you can just get away with it by saying that? My parents own 30% of the shares in this school, so I'm the boss here. Issei. I see. Frank. If you don't leave on good terms, I'll have you expelled, and I'll also make sure no school will accept you. Issei. You're done with the threats, so if you did, I'll be next. If you want to talk about being far below me, maybe you forgot, but I'll remind you that my family owns the rest of the shares, so tell me who's in charge here. Frank got upset when he heard her, especially when he saw her so serious, since he always saw her happy in front of him. With that, he left the place where his friends followed him. Issei just half smiled as he noticed everything that happened. Issei thoughts. This girl is interesting. A month later Issei helped Issei train where she regretted her decision from the beginning, since it was very difficult to keep up with Issei. Besides, at school no one approached him because of his reputation given by Frank, but Issei did not take it much importance, on the contrary, he was grateful to him, since no one bothered him. Issei. Wait Issei, can we rest a little? I'm tired of running so much. Issei. We're just getting started. Seeing that he received the notification that he had run 11 kilometers more, and that surprised him a little since he could have gone over the limit, so he decided to run more and increase the other tasks. At that time he ran away, leaving Issei where she started yelling at him to wait for him. Minutes later Issei was checking his status and reached the limit in everything, and as a reward, he got an S-rank key that surprised him quite a bit. Issei. Hey, I was talking to you, are you deaf? Issei. I had something to do. I have to go. See you later. Issei. Wait, where are you going? Issei. Sorry, it's private. Leaving the place where Issei only let out a sigh and also went home to rest. Issei arrived at his room and changed his clothes and lay down on the bed, since he wanted to wait for night to come, and then he fell asleep. Hours later he woke up and went to his destination where he took out the key and opened the portal, and as soon as he entered he saw a large dog in front of him. Guardian of Hell. Cerberus. Issei took out his dagger and went to attack him, where from the beginning he had it difficult since his opponent was much stronger than Issei. Even so, he was faster to attack, where he received a lot of damage. HP 1290 3602. HP 726 3602. Issei thoughts. If I continue like this, I will run out of energy. Leaping back and breathing heavily, he opened the shop and bought an E-rank item to heal his wounds. At that, Issei launched himself into the attack with greater speed, where minutes later he finished off the Cerberus. Alarm. You have leveled up. You have leveled up. You have leveled up. You have leveled up. In addition to that, they gave him many rewards, but Issei did not take it important, since he was getting tired of fighting so much. He threw himself to the ground to replenish his energy. Half an hour later, Issei was in front of the door, and without wasting time he entered and began to walk in the darkness, where seconds later some knights launched an attack. Issei took out his dagger and went on the attack in the same way, where he had no difficulty in defeating them, and every time he continued, they gave him a part of the armor that he equipped to continue. After several fights and leveling up, Issei reached his final destination, where he entered the boss room and saw an empty throne. But he was surprised to see a knight in red armor. Issei. It won't be easy for me, just by looking at you I can tell that you are strong. Going against him, where the guy with his great sword evaded Issei's attack and then hit Issei, causing some bones to break, where Issei groaned in pain, but still did not give up. After getting up, he went to attack, but without the dagger, since he noticed that he was not going to resist, much so with no other option, he went to fight with his bare hands, where as soon as he arrived he received several wounds. Where later they threw him and Issei was left sitting on the throne of the former Guardian Lord. The knight raised his sword and was about to kill Issei, but he stopped the blow with his hand, thanks to the help of the knight's warrior who won previously. At that, Issei took out his dagger and embedded it in his eye and launched himself at him and began to hit him several times with all his strength and using his abilities to not let him continue, and seconds later the knight was dead. Alarm. You have leveled up. You have leveled up. Issei just fell to the ground tired, since it was a great battle where he was about to die. Issei. I won. I didn't think it would be so difficult, but in the end I did it. But at that, he stood up and saw the rewards, where Issei formed a smile, since they were great rewards like the knight's helmet and 1,500,000 gold, where he was fascinated by the reward. Also, Issei was surprised that the helmet was S rank. But Issei was happy, since it was worth the suffering to see so many good rewards. But then he realized something, and that was that the quest was not over yet. At that, a portal was formed and an announcement appeared. Issei. As long as it lasts, what the heck does this mean? Seeing how several soldiers came out, Issei took an attacking position, since the more he resisted, the more points he would have. At that, he let out a sigh and launched into the attack, as he didn't want to be surrounded. But to his dismay, there were also magicians, and that made it difficult for him to attack, since they could detect his position without problems. Where Issei decided to finish them off first and went to kill them. But the more he killed, the more they came towards him, where Issei was already getting desperate about what was happening. At that, Issei remembered the stone he had to be able to leave and saw the clock, where, unfortunately for him, only 5 minutes had passed. But then Issei began to receive several, where Issei barely managed to defend himself and began to see illusions. Why are you doing this? You're weak. At that, Issei looked up and saw himself only younger. Just give up and rest. Issei. I made a promise. In that, he saw how his old self was leaving and Issei was closing his eyes, and in that he saw how his daily routine that he had not fulfilled appeared. At that, Issei was teleported to the place where he breathed with difficulty and bought things to heal himself. Issei. I'll take this time to improve and then kill everyone. Seeing how the enemy was coming, he began his punishment, where 4 hours passed and Issei returned, where just by doing so the massacre began. After several minutes, Issei had finished off everyone and received a message. You will be able to have a class based on the points you have collected. Issei. After so long, I can finally have that class. This is one more step towards being able to follow the will of my predecessor. The job will be awarded after the system has analyzed the player's actions. At that, Issei thought about what he wanted and the system began to analyze. Wherever the player goes, death will follow. The player's path is littered with bodies and the smell of blood. Issei. Finally. The player possesses strength, he has no equipment, and he overcomes everything with his strength. Your desire for strength burns strong enough to call upon those who go through the valley of death, and the army of the dead who follow your command will create a path where your command will be the law, and you will never need another's help again. Issei just looked at the notification with a smile. Your work is necromancy. Issei had a smile on his face as he saw the notification. The shadowy wizard and an army of the dead following him. Class skills. Activated skills. Shadow extraction LV. 1 shadow save LV. 1. Issei. After so many years, I achieved the necessary requirement to have such a skill. I will not disappoint you ancestors. Alarm. You accept the job. Accept. Reject. Issei accepted without thinking twice. Your chosen work. Based on the points you have obtained a chance to be promoted to a higher class. You have exceeded the expected playing time. Points have been added. You didn't use the Hearthstone. Points have been added. Your final life was over 50%. Points have been added. All enemies have been finished. Points have been added. At that Issei felt a change in his body and saw the notification. You have been promoted from Necromance to Shadow Lord. Issei. Lord of Shadows, this is a bigger surprise than I expected. You have learned a unique job skill. You have obtained a stat bonus. You have obtained the only one who overcomes adversity. Issei. If I hadn't gotten those points my class wouldn't have gone up. Looking to the sides and hearing the screams of the fallen. A shadow extraction has been used on this item. Please issue an order for shadow extraction. At that Issei became serious and called them. Issei. Come forth. At that moment several shadows began to appear around Issei where he was surprised since he did not expect such a thing. Issei. They look great. And that Issei saw 2 notifications where he noted that he could only extract a maximum of 30 shadows. Issei. Not bad for my first attempt. Shadow Infantry LV1 rank. Normal. Shadow Mage LV1. Rank. Elite. Issei. 27 infantry and 3 mages isn't bad. You have reached the limit of shadow extraction. At that Issei remembered the night and saw one of his soldiers. Issei. I'm sorry for calling you. At that moment he made the shadow disappear and approached the Red Knight. Issei. Blood Red Commander Igris, I want this guy as a servant. Come forth. You have failed shadow extraction. Issei. What? You have 2 chances to try. Issei. This won't be easy, maybe it's because of the difference in level, but I still won't give up. 2 more chances. You have failed the shadow extraction. You only have 1 more chance. Issei seeing that looked at the throne. Issei. Stop protecting the seat of someone who's already left. And try to protect me from whoever's in front of you. Arise. At that moment a black mass was forming in front of Issei where he just smiled seeing that. You have improved the shadow. The shadow level will be LV7. Shadows as high as Knight rank can be named. Issei. You will now be Igris. Igris LV7. Knight rank. You have successfully extracted the shadow. Stats. Name. Issei. Level. 51. Job. Lord of Shadows. Fatigue. 0. Title. Wolf Slayer, plus 1 more. HP. 11,035. MP. 1020. Strength. 132. Vitality. 91. Agility. 111. Intelligence. 70. Senses. 93. Physical damage reduction 46% equipped. Remaining points 10. And that Issei noticed how the shadows got on their knees where he only formed a small smile. Issei. Take care of me. Where he made the shadows disappear and left the place, and just by doing so he noticed that it was night. He took out a new rock from his storage and changed it since the one he had before was destroyed. Later he went to the academy and when he arrived he went to rest since he had had very long days. The next day he returned to classes as if it were okay, but someone approached him not very happy. Issei. Issei, where have you gotten yourself into? Issei. I was busy, something happened. Issei. I haven't seen you in days and you come out with that. Issei. I'm not your babysitter, you know that. Issei. But these have been boring days, really. Letting out a sigh as she liked to tease Issei. Issei. I see, but I already solved the problem I had. Issei was about to say something, but then the teacher arrived and started giving classes at lunchtime. They both went to the cafeteria to eat their food. Issei. Issei, can I ask you a question? Issei. Go ahead. Issei. Drake told me that there are classes for devils being low, medium and high. Issei. Yes, but why do you ask that? Issei. That when you reach the upper class you can get something called evil pieces. Issei. That's right. Issei. Issei, if you have that I can be in your group. Issei. Why? Issei. It will be fun, I have a feeling we would have many adventures together, and you are right. Issei. I honestly don't know. Issei. But if you have them, you promise me to let me be in your group. Issei noticed the joy on her face when she heard that, and with no other option he nodded. Issei, noticing that, smiled more with emotion and gave Issei a hug, where most of them were jealous when they saw their closeness. Issei. Well, you saved the queen piece for me. Issei. Whatever you say, but remember, I don't know how much time has to pass before that day arrives. Issei. It's okay, no problem, I have plenty of time, haha. Issei. Good. Minutes later everyone went to their next class where everything went as normal. The days passed and so did the months until 2 years passed where Issei found himself at the airport with a suitcase. Issei. You're really leaving? Issei. A lot of time has passed and it's time for me to start my mission. Issei. You should have told me in advance so I could arrange the paperwork and go with you. Issei saw how she had a sad smile on her face and put his hand on her head and caressed her a little. Since over time he became fond of her. Issei. This is my problem and I don't want you to get hurt. She just looked up as Issei was taller than her. Issei. I'm strong and I can defend myself, you know. Issei. I know. Issei. I hope that when we meet again you already have your pieces because that's why I'm still half human. Issei. Okay. Giving her a hug which she reciprocated. Issei. When we meet again I will tell you something very important. Issei just nodded and then he heard the call to get on the plane where he left and Issei went home to fix some things. Hours later of traveling, Issei arrived at his destination where upon arriving at his destination, he attracted attention due to his serious look. Issei did not pay attention to anything and followed his destiny where he already had everything ready, such as his transfer to Chaos Academy, since he had previously investigated and discovered that his brothers were there. He went to his new house and left his things and waited for dawn to be able to go to his first day of school. Issei. It won't be long now. Hours later Issei was on his way to the academy in his new tight-fitting uniform, where several girls were staring at him because of how good he looked. When they arrived, most of them were in class, and Issei knocked on his second-year classroom. He gave his paper and the teacher left him waiting, and 2 minutes later he let him in, leaving several people surprised. Teacher. Please introduce yourself. Issei. My name is Issei. All the students in the class were surprised by such a serious look, but the girls came out of their trance and started screaming about how cute he was. Teacher. Do you have any questions? Where are you from? Issei. From here, but years ago I went abroad to study and decided to come back to see my family. Do you have a girlfriend? Issei. I don't know. Thinking it was Issei's but not at all since for the moment it was not necessary to think about that. Well, the girls were in doubt but still wanted to get closer to him. Seconds later I sent him to his new seat and the class started without any problems. The hours passed and it was time for lunch where he was looking at his new academy. Issei. There are many things to do. Until he was called by the spokesperson to the student council office. Issei knew who the president was so he went to his destination, where with some questions he arrived at his destination. And when he knocked on the door, a silver-haired girl opened it and was a little scared by the empty look she had, but she let him in anyway. Upon doing so he saw many more people in the room than expected. Issei. I didn't think I'd see my old friends here and my brothers. Ren. So my assumption was correct. Kenji. I thought it would be a mistake. Issei. I wanted to surprise you later, but I got careless. Lying since he previously released a bit of his aura to attract the attention of all the devils present. Sona. As I was told, you had disappeared, as your parents said. Issei. Things that happen Sona Citri. From what I see, almost everyone has entourages. Ren. Now that I think about it, you're the only one without one since you're the disappointment. Rias. What a shame, being the only young devil in your class without an entourage. You only tarnish your clan's name. Issei. If you finished, then move. I have classes. Kenji. Aren't you afraid of us like you used to be, little brother? Issei. I put that feeling aside years ago. Walking to the door and opening it, but before leaving he said a few last words. Issei. And one more thing, the Haidu clan will change its patriarch very soon. Closing the door and leaving the place, leaving a silence. Ren. Is he an idiot for saying those words? Kenji. Father must be informed about this. Ren. You're right. Kenji. Sona, I'll leave early. See you later. Ren. See you on our date, Rias. They both nodded and headed to the underworld to give the news. The hours passed and classes ended and Issei walked home passing through a park until he felt some presences but pretended not to. Taking 2 more steps a group stopped in front of him. This will be easier than I thought. It seems that he has little magical power. Issei. So they already made their move faster than expected. Don't act so serious in front of us because you must be scared to death. Issei. It's time to try something. 5 shadows formed behind him where the group was surprised to see them since they had never seen such a thing. Issei. Kill them. Well, he had his hands in his pockets and his shadows launched into the attack being Igris and 2 wizards and 2 knights. The devils that had been hired came out of shock and launched an attack, but when they launched their attacks, they saw how they were instantly destroyed. But how weak. But at that instant a sword was embedded in his chest, and it was the same shadow he had just killed. How is it possible I destroyed it? Issei. It can be regenerated again. Watching the soldier fall to the ground dead and watching his soldiers continue with their thing where it only took them 5 minutes to finish. Issei. They would be good shadows, but I don't want to see their faces again. Burning them and going home. Meanwhile in the underworld a family was in the living room watching as several windows were broken. Eru, seeing this, got upset and destroyed the coffee table. Ren. Father, weren't they the best? Eru. Of course they are the best assassins there were. Nikki. Someone must be protecting that brat since it would be impossible for him to defeat them. Kenji. So what do we do? Eru. Nothing at the moment, and even if he tells what happened to him, no one will believe him. Nikki. You're right. You two should go back to the human world and act like nothing happened. And if you get the chance, you'll know what to do. Kenji. I know mother, don't worry, that useless guy won't come near here. Both parents nodded proudly at their children, who were of a high level and had fiancés from 2 great clans. Issei was lying in his bed until his cell phone rang. Ichino-sei. Issei, why didn't you call me when you arrived? Issei. I had something to do and tell me you continue with the exercises, right? Just because I'm not there doesn't mean you don't do it. Ichino-sei. I know, I promise to continue since I must be strong to save you, hahaha. Issei. Stop dreaming and I better go to sleep, the schedule is very different. Ichino-sei. It's okay and please take care of yourself, and if something happens tell me so I can fly away at high speed. Issei. Good. He hung up the phone with a half smile at the way she treated him. He remembered when a girl asked him if she had a partner. Issei. Maybe. Thinking about Ichino-sei but putting it aside since I thought that maybe with time she would find someone else. The next day Issei got up early to do the morning exercises and not suffer the punishment. As I ran I passed by his old house where I remembered his few happy moments with his family. Issei. I hope you are well, Arena. Continuing on his way until he got home and took a bath and left for the academy to have a new day. A week had passed since Issei started his new life in Japan, and luckily for him he was always attacked by several mercenaries where he had no difficulty in killing them since they helped him train. It was a Saturday and Issei was walking through the streets until he saw a cafe, and without thinking twice he entered the place where he was happy to know that they had books there. He bought a coffee and went to look for a book and was about to go look for a seat, but he saw a person, and as he did so he went to put the book away and left the place where, unfortunately for him, he was taken by the hand. Since the girl noticed his presence and went to him. Issei, long time no see. Issei. What do you want? He said it with a serious look. Issei, why do you talk to me like that? Having a sad face when noticing Issei's serious look. What did I do for you to treat me like that? Besides, we haven't seen each other for years since your parents told me that you went to study far away. Issei. You should remember what you talked about with Successor back then when you all were gathered together while I went to the kitchen. The girl then remembered the time when they were all children. Flashback. Seriously, why are they bringing Issei back again? Ren. You know how he is, he doesn't like to be alone, and he also helps to carry things. Well, you are right on that. That's why he went to the kitchen. Kenji. That's right. Because he wants to gain everyone's trust, haha. But he's a good boy. Ren. Leisha, don't talk nonsense, he's just the disappointment of the clan. Right? Riaz, Sona, Successor. The 3 girls nodded. Successor. You think so too? Leisha. Maybe. End of flashback. Leisha. Issei, we were just kids. Issei. You know words hurt more than a punch. Everyone made fun of me for being the weakest in that clan. Do you think that was the only time I heard them talk about me like that? I just acted like I didn't know anything because I didn't want to get hit later. Taking Leisha's hand away he started walking, leaving Leisha sad since deep down, she never thought that way about him, but she was afraid of being left without friends back then. Issei on the other hand arrived home and kicked a chair. Issei. Do you think I'm stupid for not noticing how you were talking about me? Seeing the notification that the time for the daily exercises was about to end. Issei decided not to do them since he wanted to let off some steam. Minutes passed and Issei was teleported to a desert where he had to stay there for a few hours until the punishment ended. Some time later Issei returned home with his clothes destroyed but calmer since he was able to let off steam. Meanwhile elsewhere at an airport in Italy. Arena, you seem happier than usual. Arena. You see Zenobia, I was born in Japan, and well, I haven't been there for a while, and maybe I'll see my older brother. Zenobia. I didn't know you had a brother. Arena. Hehehe, I'm sorry. Besides, my parents told me that he is there. I hope to see him soon since I haven't seen him in years. She said it with a big smile, and seconds later they were both called to board their flight. While in Japan it was a new day, and Issei decided not to go to the academy since he didn't really feel like dealing with the clans present there. Then he took out a key and opened a portal where he entered and went to level up and increase his army of shadows. Alert. You have leveled up. Issei. It's not that easy to level up now. As he sat on a pile of monster corpses, he looked at his current status. But he put it aside since he had more time to improve. Then he left the portal and noticed that it was already night, so he went to take a bath and then to his house to rest. The next day Issei had breakfast and headed to the academy where in the distance he saw two hooded girls talking to Sona. Issei instantly recognized the aura of one of them and just formed a smile and began to walk to where the group was. Sona looked at him seriously when she saw him, and both hooded girls, seeing his serious look, turned around and were surprised to see a black-haired man. Irina for her part was happy to see him, and without wasting time she went to him and gave him a hug, where Sona was surprised by that even more when she saw Issei smiling and how he opened his arms. Issei. How are you, little one? Irina. Don't tell me that, I'm already grown up. Making a pout that Issei found adorable. Irina. I'm already big. While pointing at herself with a smile. Issei. I know, I was just joking. And how are the old people? Irina. You know they get angry when you tell them that, right? Issei. Maybe. Irina. They didn't tell me you were studying here. They just told me you returned to Japan. Issei. It's close to my apartment. Irina. I see. Issei. What mission do you have? She was about to respond, but Zenobia arrived and pushed Issei. Zenobia. That's confidential, especially if it's a devil like you. Irina. Zenobia, stop it, don't talk to my brother like that. Zenobia was surprised upon hearing that, as was Sona, who only remained in the Majin. Irina. I trust him and I will tell him. Issei. Irina, do you want to go eat something? Irina. Of course, I haven't seen you in years and I want to know how you're doing. Taking Issei's arm. Irina. Zenobia, see you in the afternoon, just like the Arasitri said. Without waiting for an answer, he left the place, leaving a silence between them both. Minutes later they both arrived at a familiar restaurant where Irina took off her robe wearing normal clothes since she didn't want to wear her battle suit like Zenobia. Irina. Well, tell me what has happened in these years and give me all the details. Issei. You tell me first. Irina. We were sent on a mission to find the fragments of the Excalibur sword that are in Kakabiel's hands. Issei. You have a fragment, right? Irina. That's right. It won't be an easy mission, but I know I can trust you. Giving her a wink where Issei just petted her head, which she happily accepted. After that Issei told her everything that had happened, leaving aside the missions he had. Irina was surprised to know that Issei was friends with the current Sekiryu. Irina. Nobody will take Oni-chan away from me. Taking Issei's hand as she remembered when he told her what Ichinose was like. He for his part didn't say anything, and they both began to walk and talk until the afternoon came and they went back to the academy for the meeting. It didn't take long for both of them to reach their destination, where Irina just opened the door looking at those present. Zenobia. You took too long. Irina. Haha, time flies when I'm with him. All the devils just looked at that, where a couple of brothers were surprised at how cute she was, and a smile formed on their faces that Issei knew how to recognize. Ren. And what is he doing here? Irina. He's coming with me, so don't say anything else. Kenji. Just say what you want since we don't have that much time. Zenobia. At least we agree on one thing. I'll get straight to the point and you better not mention each other in our mission or you'll be killed in the process. Riaz. You have some nerve to speak like that in devil territory. Zenobia. I have the power to speak like this alongside my partner. Sona. There's no need for you to fight since we have a small alliance and this would only cause a senseless war to start. Zenobia. Okay. Getting up and about to leave until he saw Asia. Zenobia. You happen to be Asia Argento. Asia. Why? Yes. Zenobia. So you're the heretic who helped a devil. Tell me, do you still believe in God? Asia. I grew up believing in him, so I always will. Zenobia. I see if that's so. Taking out his sword with its sheath even though he pointed it at Asia. Issei. Just now you said you didn't want trouble, and here you are causing one, are you an idiot? Zenobia hearing that looked at Issei where he had his neutral face, but Zenobia felt a great thirst for blood that went straight to her. Zenobia. You're saved for now. Irina, let's go. Irina. You're calling me to look for you since I'm staying with Issei. Zenobia didn't say anything and left the room. Issei and Irina were about to leave, but someone else spoke up. Bran. What are you doing with that good for nothing? You better stay with me, you'll be better off. Kenji. You'll do better here, especially if you're in my group. Irina. So you're the two idiots who hurt my brother. Ren. Brother. Ha 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 ha. Kenji. Where did you go? Issei to look for affection. Issei. I don't care. Opening the door, but a black sword was stuck near him. Irina, seeing that, summoned her sacred sword since she didn't like her Issei being hurt. Ren. I'm not done with you yet. Respect your elders. Issei. What do you want, Ren? The last thing I want is to leave that stupid family without children. Both brothers, upon hearing that, stood up from their seats, very upset by those words. Kenji. You have the nerve to speak like that in front of me, since you were afraid of us before. Issei. You already said it before, time changes people. Opening the door and taking Irina's hand. Issei. Touch a hair on Irina's head and you'll know what I'm capable of. Closing the door, leaving a silence until Ren broke it by destroying the center table. Irina. I will always support you. Issei. Thanks, but don't worry, I can handle them and more. As long as I'm alive, no one will touch you. Irina, hearing that, just gave him a big smile and took Issei's arm. Minutes later they both arrived at the apartment and Issei made dinner and talked for a bit. After that Irina took a bath and put on a change of Issei's clothes, and after Issei insisted so much she fell asleep in his bed and he on the couch. Issei was checking his condition, and it wasn't that bad until he entered the store, and when he saw something, it surprised him so much that it caused him to fall off the couch. When he got up he looked at the purchase options again until he noticed some. Issei. Evil Peace game. This is something unique. Getting up from the floor and taking a seat on the couch. Issei. Well, Ichinose will be happy to know that she will soon be a queen. Giving it a buy option, where at that moment some black and purple pieces appeared. Issei. Not bad. Taking the king's piece, where it entered instantly. Alert. You are the king of kings, get your second army to defend you. Issei took the pieces and put them into his storage and then closed his eyes to rest. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a blonde girl stood in front of her parents with a serious look. Ichinose. Mother, father, I want to go to Japan. And that, previously you were not very interested in going. Ichinose. I want to explore the truth. Or maybe it's that boy I saw at the parents' meeting. Giving her a mischievous smile, where Ichinose turned red, the father upon hearing that stood up annoyed. No one will take my daughter, so no. He didn't finish because his wife hit him on the head, causing him to faint. You have our permission, daughter. Ichinose. Thanks, mom. I honestly thought they were going to refuse. Well, I met your father like that, hahaha. So when you come to visit us, bring him, yes. Ichinose just nodded and went to her room, since she had a lot to do, like moving her papers to change academy among other things. Ichinose. Sorry Issei, but we'll see each other sooner than expected, hahaha. Dreg. Woman, you're scaring me by talking like that. Ichinose. Ara, Dreg, you better help me or. Entering his subconscious and giving a quality smile to Dreg, where he felt a chill. Dreg thought. That's why I don't like women to be my hosts, they're crazy. Ichinose. You know I can tell when you say no. Dreg. Shit. Seconds later, screams of a dragon were heard, and later it was lying on the ground. Dreg. Where do I get so much strength? Fainting. Ichinose emerged from his subconscious. Ichinose. I have to do all this quickly so I can give Issei a big surprise. Packing up and starting to make several calls, where it doesn't matter what time it is. While Issei was asleep and woke up suddenly. Issei. I feel like something bad will happen soon. Going to the kitchen and having a glass of water and then returning to the couch to continue sleeping. 2 days had passed where Issei helped Irina in her mission, since, well, he didn't want her to be hurt. She happily accepted since she would spend more time with him. Zenobia, for her part, wanted nothing less than to have obstacles, especially if he was a devil like Issei. Irina, knowing how her brother was treated, became upset with her partner because even though they had been doing missions for a long time, she would always put Issei first. While in the United States, Ichinose was saying goodbye to her parents, well, better said, only her mother, since her father did not want her to leave, and because of such a scandal his wife hid him. Ichinose heard his call and boarded the plane. Ichinose thought. I will arrive tomorrow night. Dreg. You know you could just fly away and get there quicker. Ichinose. I don't feel like it. Dreg only sweat dropped upon hearing her answer. Minutes later the plane took off towards its destination. The day had passed and Issei was walking through the park with his sister until he stopped in his tracks. Irina. Something's wrong. Issei. Draw your sword. Without saying anything else he summoned his sword, and seconds later 5 fallen angels appeared next to their leader. Bicabial. Well, I won't have to look any further, and it's easier for me, since she's just a low-level exorcist and a devil anyway. Ahahaha, it's weird that two people who shouldn't get along are together. Issei. What can I tell you, that's how things are, Kakabiel. Kakabiel. I'm surprised that a low-level devil knows about me. Issei. And I'm surprised that you are easily guided by appearances. Showing him her gaze, leaving Kakabiel a little surprised since he didn't expect that. We killed them already, sir. Kakabiel. Kill the devil and leave the exorcist so you can have some fun. The fallen, upon hearing that, only gave a big smile, while Issei had another type of expression on his face. It was one that only showed pure pain. Issei. If you take just one more step you must be prepared for death. The fallen, upon hearing that, only began to laugh at such nonsense that Issei said. Kakabiel. For a low-level devil you have a lot of courage, brat, hahaha, you know I like you, join me, and I'll give you whatever you want. Issei. If so, give me your life and that of your soldiers. Kakabiel, hearing such nonsense, became upset and sent his men to attack. Irina was ready to go on the attack as well, to support her brother. Issei. Everything will be fine, Irina, don't worry, remember when we were children I promised to always protect you, and it's time to do it. Irina just nodded and put away her sacred sword, since she trusted him a lot. Issei smiled upon noticing that. Issei. Come forth. At that moment several magicians, knights came out from Issei's shadow, and there was one that stood out more than all, and that was Igris. The fallen were surprised to see such a thing, and Kakabiel for his part had the feeling that he knew said power, but did not remember. Without thinking twice, Issei sent his small army to attack. Irina for her part was surprised by Issei's power and wanted to ask him about it, but she would better wait for him to tell her in time, since if he hadn't told her it was for a reason. It was no surprise that the fallen died quickly, for when they killed a shadow it was renounced again. Kakabiel, noticing that his last soldier was about to die, left the place in great fury. Issei decided not to follow him since if he wanted revenge he would happily be waiting for him. When the last fallen died, Issei put away his shadows again where there was a great silence. Issei. Irina. Don't worry, I was waiting for the day you tell me. I trust you. Issei. Thanks. I told you to go to the house, but that fallen one goes to the academy, your friend is not there. Irina. We can go. Issei. Sure, but this time you will fight. I will watch it from afar since I want to see your potential. Irina. Great, and you'll see how I've improved. Issei just caressed her head and they both set off. It took them half an hour to get there, since Issei had no intention of rushing. Meanwhile at an airport Issei was getting off her flight with a big smile. Issei. Jarvan, where is Issei? 20. Greg. Don't call me that, I told you a long time ago. Issei. It suits you better than Drake, honestly. Greg. Ha, but what nonsense you talk. I caused a lot of fear with that name. Issei. Whatever you say, then where is he? Greg was annoyed by how she was treating him, but he just let out a sigh, since he knew how childish his carrier was. Plus watching so many movies. Greg. He's an hour and a half away from here and he's not alone. Issei. What do you mean? Wiping away his smile. Greg. There is a girl near him and besides that they will fight with a fallen angel, better set a cadre. Issei. I see. So Issei is cheating on me and having fun without me. Greg. I have no comments. Issei just smiled and looked for a place where there were no people and activated her armor where she flew out at great speed. Greg thought. I felt sorry for that girl. Meanwhile Issei and Irina had reached their destination and she went to help her partner while he hid in the darkness since he did not want to interfere, well, not if his sister was in danger. Ria's, Ren, and Kenji's entourage were fighting off the cadre's subordinates while Sona maintained the barrier. Kakabiel. Hahaha, I expected more from the children of one of the strongest people in the underworld, but they are nothing. Both of them, upon hearing that, launched themselves into the attack without hearing anything, where they only received a spear of light. The minutes passed and the followers were getting tired because they thought that by using all their power, they would kill him faster, but it was the opposite, and they soon ran out of magic. Seconds later Kakabiel began to laugh and everyone thought he was crazy, but at the end he released the great news of the death of God. Where both Asia and Zenobia fell to their knees by such news while Irina could N''T believe it, but didn't let it affect her since she was on a mission. Issei was about to go help his sister, but then the barrier was destroyed, and everyone saw a red armor where everyone was surprised, since they knew very well who it was. Issei just let out a sigh as he knew that her being there would only cause trouble. Issei. Let the party begin. It was complete silence upon Issei's arrival, as they were not expecting that, much less Issei as not even a month had passed since he had left the United States. Issei. Well Drake, where is that woman? Drake. She is the orange-haired girl with two pigtails. Issei looked around until she looked at Irina. Instead of being afraid of her, she just saw her seriously since she knew who Issei was. Bakabiel, seeing this, got upset and launched an attack where Issei just evaded it and moved quickly, hitting him in the face. Issei. I'm busy and you come out to bother me. Where all the entourage present were surprised by his speed and strength, plus one person who was watching from afar. Ali. Worthy of my rival. Albion. It will be an interesting battle. Meanwhile in the academy courtyard. Issei. Issei, come out wherever you are. Everyone could N''T believe it when they heard that since the Securite knew Issei, causing two brothers to get upset, as did Riaz, who wanted to have her in their entourage. Issei. You know, it hasn't been that long. Coming out of the shadows with his usual look. Issei. School was so boring, so I came here to have fun with you like old times. But when I got here, I got this surprise. Issei. Things happen. Issei. Well, I'll solve this problem and then we'll talk. Issei. You know it's not your fight just like it's mine. Issei. I know but. Berkakabiel got up from the ground very upset by the blow and saw those present plus Issei, but when he noticed Issei, he remembered that empty look and instinctively took a step back. Bakabiel. I already remembered that power. Issei. Issei, if you kill him quickly, I'll grant you the wish I promised you a long time ago. Upon hearing that, she was happy, but she didn't show it and went to Kakabiel, hitting him several times and then using an ability that broke all of Kakabiel's bones, causing him to scream in pain. Issei. For a cadre you're pretty weak. You're probably one. Bakabiel. Why you little slut, damn it. Issei didn't pay attention and was about to give him the killing blow, but Vali arrived and grabbed Kakabiel by the neck. Ali. Sorry to break up the fun, but I'm on a mission to get you back alive. Issei. What I hate the most is having my fun taken away, but I hate peeping toms like you even more. Vali was about to respond, but Issei took flight, hitting Vali in the face and releasing Kakabiel where Issei launched a dragon shot at him, killing him completely since the cadre had no time to react. Vali was upset when he saw this because no one paid attention to his words. Albion. You have a very energetic carrier red. Greg. I know, but you should know one thing, White. And that is that she is stronger than she appears. Albion. Hahaha, it will be interesting. Ali. Just wait for the moment and consider yourself dead. Issei. Whenever you want, kid. Vali didn't say anything else and left the place. Issei, noticing that, undid and deactivated the armor and turned around calling Issei with a smile. The boys present were amazed at how pretty she was. Issei. I'm ready, you already noticed that I fulfilled no. Issei. Good job. But let's go somewhere else. Issei. Sure, but first, who is that girl? Pointing at Irina with a warm smile. Issei. You're talking about Irina, she's my sister, but I remember I told you a long time ago. Issei, remembering that, opened her eyes wide and in that instant she remembered what Issei told her a long time ago, and out of shame, she began to whistle while looking away. Issei only let out a sigh at her attitude, but didn't say anything. Irina. Where will we go? Issei. There's something I have to give to my house. And what will you do? Irina. I'll go with you, plus I already have the fragments, and I recently spoke to Zenobia, and she's staying because God's death affected her a lot. Issei. I see, then let's go. Starting to walk until someone spoke. Ren. Hey, you blonde, why are you going with that useless guy? Issei. Maybe because he's my boyfriend. Ren. How can you be with someone as weak as him? Better come with me. I am the heir of one of the best clans in the underworld, and you can be in my entourage. Issei. No, I'm fine with Issei. If he can't defend himself, I can do it for him, but that would be impossible, he's too strong. Ren. Soon you will realize the reality and come asking to be by my side. Issei didn't respond and turned around where she saw Issei continue on his way where she turned around and gave Ren a death glare for wasting her time. Minutes later the three were in the apartment. Irina. Issei, what did you mean by gift earlier? Issei. A long time ago she told me that if I had my evil P set she would be my queen. Irina. Wait, how long have you had them? Issei. Like 3 days I think. Issei. Less talk and more action, I'm ready. Issei just nodded and took out his queen piece where Issei was happy since with it she would be close to Issei forever. Issei started his chant and the piece entered Issei's chest. Issei. Well. Issei. I feel great, honestly. Alarm. The queen piece has been used, now your companion will be able to summon only one of your shadows, and as your level goes up, she will be able to summon more. Issei was shocked by the surprise when he saw the notification. Irina approached him and grabbed his shirt. Irina. I want to be in your entourage too. Issei. But as I recall, you wanted to be an angel. Irina. Very difficult and I want to be by your side forever. Issei. And how will the old people take it? Irina. Well, there won't be a problem. Issei. Okay, what piece do you want? Irina. The queen. Issei. I already have it, sorry, but it's mine. Irina. But I want that one. Putting on a puppy dog look as I wanted to cry. Issei seeing that just let out a sigh and nodded where Irina jumped in victory and Issei stared at Issei wanting an explanation, but he just held out his hand so she wouldn't speak. He opened the store and saw the game where he only wanted to buy one piece, but it wasn't possible. Letting out another sigh since it would be more points in the trash, but to see Irina happy he would do anything. Seconds later another game appeared where I only took the queen piece and started a ritual, the same notification appearing. Irina spread her wings, which were made of shadows, surprised that they were not devil wings. Issei did the same and was even more surprised since they had merged with dragon wings. Issei. Irina, what are you going to do with the swords? Irina. I'll send them through a magic circle that was given to you earlier, in case they wanted to take ours away. Taking out the booklet and putting all the fragments together and then sending them to the church. Issei. Well, I want you two to listen to me well. They both just nodded. Issei. I want you to say the following words and it is. Arise. Issei didn't understand, but Irina did because she heard her before and paid attention. Irina. Arise. Where from his shadow a black knight emerged leaving Issei in shock upon seeing that, but he quickly left and said the same thing as a magician emerged. Issei. Well, since you know, I want you not to use those shadows until the time is right. Issei. Why not? Issei. It's not time yet, that's all I'll say. Issei wanted to ask more, but she knew what Issei was like so she just nodded as did Irina. After that the shadows disappeared and they went to rest since it was a long day. It was a new day where the group was having breakfast until Issei remembered something. Issei. What are you going to do now? I don't think you're just coming to visit me. Issei. I changed schools now, I will be at yours, only tomorrow will be my first day since I don't have the uniform. Issei. I see. Issei. I thought you were going to get upset or say something like why my school. Issei. I know you very well, so all that's left is to accept things, and what will you do, Irina? Irina. Well, I'm going to study here too. Yesterday before going to sleep I talked to my parents and well, they weren't that happy, hahaha. Issei. I assumed so. Irina. But after asking them so much to let me go, they agreed, now I just have to wait. Issei. Well, since you have time, start training and adapting your demonic body. Issei. I won't have that much trouble, hahaha. Irina. Can you help me? Issei. Sure, it will be fun. Issei. Well, I left since I have to study. Getting up and going to the door where both girls followed him, and when Issei finished putting on his shoes he turned around. Irina. Issei. Have a nice day. Issei. Thank you. Leaving the house and heading to the academy. Both girls went to the living room and picked up the dishes and went to wash them. Issei. Don't tell me the idiots from yesterday were Issei's brothers. Irina. Yes, so be careful, they are very annoying. Issei. If you mess with me you should be ready to die, hahaha. Irina. You act like a psychopath. Issei. It's just that it's fun like that. Irina. Well, leaving that aside, what shall we do first? Issei. We'll do the same thing Issei taught me when he helped me with my training, so we'll go buy some exercise clothes. Irina just nodded, and when she finished washing the dishes they both went out to buy some things. Meanwhile Issei continued on his way until he saw someone in front of him. Aisha. Issei, we have to continue our conversation. Issei. I have nothing to talk to you about. Aisha. Yes we do. When we were children we promised to get married, remember? Issei. That was just a game of yours that you perhaps planned with the rest. Aisha. Nothing of the sort. Issei, how about we forget everything and start over, okay? Extending her hand with a sad look. Issei noticed that she had dark circles under her eyes from not sleeping, so he just let out a sigh and took her hand, causing Aisha to become very happy. Issei. Don't cause trouble, it's okay. Aisha. I don't promise anything. Issei. I see, well I better go, I have to go to class. Aisha. We can meet another time. Issei. I'll see about it. Aisha. Successor wants to talk to you too. Issei. When I have time I guess. Starting to walk to the academy. Arriving at the entrance as he supposed his siblings and Riaz and Sona were waiting for him. Issei thought. It's going to be a long day. Riaz. Since when do you know her? Issei. Years ago, didn't you hear what she said yesterday? she's my girlfriend. Ren. Stop talking nonsense like a girl like her would be with a useless guy like her. You better stay away from her or you'll know the consequences. Issei. You know, there are many things that bother me in my life, and one of them is being threatened. Henji. Do you want to die right now? Issei. They've been sending people to kill me, but as you can see I'm still alive. If you want to kill me try, but if you do you must be ready to die. Showing them a murderous look where the group couldn't respond and Issei stepped over them to go to his house. Meanwhile, both girls were walking down the street towards the mall to buy some things until they stopped. Issei. Irina, we'll have some fun, are you ready? Irina. Of course, as Issei's queen, I must show what I'm made of. Taking out his sword being a fragment of the Excalibur sword. Where previously he was surprised since he could use it even though he was a devil. Issei. Well, whoever sent them like this, I won't have to ask later. You need to be educated, brat. Haven't they taught you to respect your elders? Issei. There's a saying I like, and it's that the strong rule the weak. If you want respect, earn it, because the only person I respect with all my heart is my boyfriend. Irina. Now that I think about it, we haven't talked about that topic yet. Issei. Well, that's all there is to it. The devils went against them where Issei activated her armor and launched an attack, killing one instantly. Greg. Partner, thanks to the queen piece you can now access new armor. Issei. That's interesting. Giving a smile and deactivating her armor where the devil smiled, but in that she changed to the tower armor. While Irina was fighting one where with each touch of her sword, she caused the devil to moan in pain from the sacred power. Minutes passed and there was only one left that Issei took by the neck. Issei. Well, I told you before, tell me who sent you. You brat. Issei. Then it will be like this. Seeing Irina where she just nodded and inserted her sword into the devil's leg, causing it to scream in pain. Issei. Look, I have all the time in the world right now, but if you take so long to answer. I'm going to be very angry since my beloved is leaving school and I have to make dinner. You're crazy. Issei. Believe me, I would do anything for Issei. Irina. We need to talk about that attitude, you know. Issei. Maybe, but you are like that too and don't lie to me. Irina just blushed and looked away while Issei smiled at her attitude. Meanwhile, the devil didn't know what to say because of the attitude of both women. You're crazy. Issei. You could call it being crazy in love. Greg thought. And soon it will be at that stage. I'm afraid. Minutes passed as both girls tortured the devil until he finally spoke and told them that the Haidu brothers sent them. After finishing saying that, Issei killed him and then got upset because a couple of idiots were bothering her. Issei. I'd go kill them right now, but that would get Issei in trouble. Besides, it's not my job to do it, it's his. Irina. You will tell him. Issei. Maybe how about we go? Irina just nodded and they both headed to the mall. The day was over and the girls were in the house cooking until they heard the door open and went to see where they were happy to see Issei. Irina. Welcome. Issei. I'm home. Something happened today. Issei. Nothing to write home about, just a normal day where we went to the mall and trained a little. Issei. I see. Irina. Let's go to dinner, everything is ready. Issei just nodded and went to the living room where both girls began to serve dinner. Irina. Issei, Zenobia called me and informed me that there will be a meeting of the three factions. Issei. And that's it. Irina. That's all she told me, since she's not very good at giving information. Issei. I see. Issei. And if we go it will be fun. Issei. Your idea of fun is very different from what I think since you're only going to cause disaster in your path. Issei. You being boring is another thing. Issei. You think so? How about I take you two to a place where you can both train? Irina. Seriously, where? Issei. At the end of dinner, both of you will put on something more suitable to fight and we will leave. They both nodded happily as they wanted to train alongside Issei. Minutes later after dinner both girls went to change and when they finished they left the apartment and started walking. Issei. Where are we going? Issei. You'll see. Continuing on their way until they entered a forest and in that Issei took out a key. Issei. I'll take you to the place where I usually go to train. You should know that it's a dangerous place and time passes faster in there. Irina. What kind of place is it? Issei just inserted the key and in that a portal opened where he entered and the girls followed him. When they left, they were both surprised since it was a totally different place. Issei. Where are we? Issei. Let's say in another reality. Since I was very young, I've been coming to these kinds of places to train. Issei. Now I understand why you were gone for several days. Irina. And what are we going to do here? Issei. You guys are going to fight while I'll just watch since I want to see how strong you are. Issei. You'll see. Irina. I will prove that I am worthy of being your queen. At that moment many creatures began to approach them, where they were both surprised since they had never seen them before. They both saw Issei where luckily for them he had gone, leaving them in the place. Issei. Well, it's time for action. Activating her armor and going on the attack, Irina activated her sword and went after them. While Issei was watching everything from above with a smile. Hours passed as both girls continued fighting, where the first to get tired was Irina, since she was not used to fighting so much. Issei on the other hand was as if nothing had happened, and thanks to that she could use many types of attacks that she had wanted to use for a long time. Still, Irina didn't give up as she wanted to show Issei that she could defend herself and continued fighting. 2 hours later they were both on the ground, tired from fighting so much. Issei. They didn't do bad. Issei. How do we get out of here? Issei. Defeating the boss of the place, but don't worry, I already sent someone to take care of it. Irina. There were many like you did to face so many. Issei. In the past, I would hide until I regained my strength and then continue fighting. Be thankful that I brought you to a D-rank place. Issei. What? Seriously, don't tell me he's the weakest. Issei. No, the weakest one is F rank. Irina. What rank have you reached? Issei. Rank A+. Issei. It cost you. Issei. Of course I do. Back then I was about to die, but I managed to resist, and thanks to that I have my companions. Issei. Wow, that must have been difficult. Issei. But that's in the past, with time you'll both be able to level up too. I brought one of them at a low level since they couldn't handle so much, since you don't only have to rely on strength, but also intelligence. Issei. Okay, how long until we leave? Just as he finished saying those words, everything around him began to disappear until they appeared in the same place they were before. Irina. We are in the same place. Issei. It's just that it's still nighttime. Although several hours have passed inside. Issei. I'm tired, I'm going to sleep all day. Irina. Me too. Issei, carry me yes. Issei. I wanted to. Issei. Both of you still have strength, it would be better for you to get up. Starting to walk while both of them just watched him leave. Issei. You're insensitive, you knew that. Issei. A little maybe. Both girls stood up and started walking until they caught up with Issei. Issei. Tomorrow I won't be going to study since we'll be looking for a bigger place to live. Issei. There's still room for one more in the bed. Issei. As I said, tomorrow we will go for a bigger house. Irina. Where will you get the money? Issei. I have some savings, don't worry. Issei. I'll help you. Issei. Thank you. The next day the group left the apartment in search of a house. Issei. You know Issei, you are a bad student since today was your first day of school. Issei. Before leaving I called and informed them that I wasn't feeling well, so I'll go tomorrow. Issei. You should know that tomorrow is Father's Day. Irina. And you will go. Issei. No, because if I go, obviously their parents will go. And well, they will cause me more problems. Issei. And why don't we kill them? Yes, I'll help you. Issei. And then what will we do, since you should know that the entire underworld will be looking for us? Irina. That clan is very respected and I don't think they will sit back and do nothing. Issei. Well, you're right about that. I also know that there are some who are strong. Issei. Everything in its own time, don't worry. Irina. Tell me Issei, what are your plans? Issei. Get my last name back. Irina. You don't like mine. Issei, it's not that, Irina. What I mean is to clear that family name, since that is my mission. They must know that that family has killed several of their family members to gain more power. Issei. They didn't do that to you. Issei. Yes, but someone saved me. What I mean is that I want to clear that family name, since the first patriarch did everything he could to keep his family safe, but after his death one of his sons changed everything. Irina. Wow, I didn't know that. Issei. Not many people know. Perhaps only the elders of the underworld as well as the Mayu know, so they let them do all that. Issei. We are going to help you, Issei, and I won't accept a no since we are now a team. Irina. True. Issei just nodded and patted both of their heads, and they continued on their way. It was a new day where the 3 residents were having breakfast. Issei. Issei, you won't go to the academy today. Issei. Not really, since today is Father's Day, and I'm not really interested in listening to their complaints. Irina. You don't want to see them. Issei. Not really, and I hope not to, but that would be impossible since sooner or later it would happen. Issei. Well, since you're not going, how about we do something fun today? Issei. If that's what you want, just say it. Issei. Let's watch movies like normal people. Irina. Are we monsters that we can't watch movies? Issei. What I mean is that we're always in trouble and it's good to act normal from time to time. Irina. Okay, it doesn't sound bad to me. How about you, Issei? Issei. Okay. Issei. You know, I realized something. Irina. And that would be it. Issei. We can call ourselves the Triple I team since our names start with that cool letter, right? Irina. It's true, until now I give it to myself and I like it. Issei. We better go see what movies we can find. Getting up from the table and going to the living room just like the two girls. The day passed quietly for the three of them as they did not leave the house. The hours passed and it was already night where a faction meeting was taking place at the academy. Azazel. Long time no see. Michael. It's about time this happened. Successor. First the main issue and that would be it. Azazel. I know it's because of Kakabiel, the truth is I was surprised to learn that he was an assassin more for the Successor. Michael. He may be an enemy too, so his power is controlled very well. Bran. If she's in my group she'd be stronger than anyone else. Successor. Let's put that aside for now and focus on how important the treaty is. Azazel. It would be good if the Successor were there and we could know his opinion if he is on our side or not. Zenobia. I know someone who could help us get her here. Arias. Who are you referring to? Zenobia. I once saw Irina together. Successor. If so, call her to come with her. Zenobia just nodded and took out her cell phone to call her former partner. Meanwhile in the apartment the group was watching a movie until a cell phone rang. Irina. Zenobia, what's happening? Zenobia. The leaders want to talk to the Successor about what happened to the cadre. Irina. We are busy. Issei. Who is it? Irina. Zenobia wants us to go to the meeting since the leaders want to talk to you about Kakabiel. Issei. Why don't we go? Irina. You heard her, Zenobia, we'll be there in a few minutes. Zenobia. Okay. Ending the call. Issei. Issei, let's go. Issei. You two go, I'll be watching from afar in case something happens. Issei. I see, then we're moving ahead. Irina. See you. They both walked to the exit and left the apartment where they flew to the academy while Issei stayed in the house to finish watching the movie. Minutes later two people entered the room where the meeting was taking place. Irina. Nice to meet you, Michael Sama. Michael. I thought you were coming back. Irina. I met someone special to me again so I stayed. Issei. Of course you want, I came because I really had nothing better to do. Sona. You should have more respect, they are the leaders. Issei. And that's why they are not my leaders. Serafal. Because you killed the cadre. Issei. I promised it to one person. Serafal. Who? Issei. To Issei, my boyfriend, and believe me it was worth doing it. Serafal. That name sounds familiar to me. Henji. He's our brother, he disappeared years ago, but now he's back and acts like he knows us. Irina. You are good at lying, they told you so. Azazel. That topic is of no importance right now. Successor, we have a question for you. Issei. My name is Issei no Successor and what do you want? Azazel. You're either on our side or you're not. Issei. I said it recently that I don't follow your orders. Michael. But you won't get involved. Issei. If my man says no, of course I won't do it. Successor. What's so special about him? Issei. There are so many things that I wouldn't have enough time to tell them all at night. Irina. That's all. Ali. Last time I was careless but this time it won't happen. Issei. Irina heard a dead man speak. She said it mockingly where Vali got upset and was about to attack her, but Azazel stopped him. Someone was about to say something, but that's when the attack began. Vali. Issei challenge you to a duel to prove who's boss. Issei. You're a fighting lover, I see. Because it won't be fun. Activating the armor and going to attack. All from afar Issei watched the battle. Issei. Let's see if you can already handle the power that helped you awaken Issei a long time ago. Meanwhile in the battle Vali divided Issei's power, but she at the same time recovered it, leaving Vali and Albion surprised as she did it with extreme speed and became stronger each time. Vali. Not bad. Issei. Don't give me that nonsense about me being a worthy rival for you. You're really weak. Vali, hearing those words, became more upset and attacked with greater speed, hitting him and dividing his power. Vali. Don't compare me to you, damn it. Hitting her in the face causing her to fall to the ground and her armor to disappear. Vali. You're just words. Albion. You couldn't raise your red carrier properly. Greg. Since this girl met her king. Everyone was surprised upon hearing that because from what they heard, she was already in someone's entourage. Greg. She has been entering non-stop thanks to his guidance, and all the pain she suffered has borne fruit. Someone who is strong has the right to boast about it. Albion. He's just as weak as you. Issei. I wanted to use this form for a long time, and what better than with my so-called destined rival. Taking a step forward. Greg. As I said, she will be the first and only bearer to achieve what you will see since thanks to her king, she possesses all my power. Albion was surprised upon hearing that and was about to respond, but at that moment Issei let out a loud roar, causing those present to cover their ears from the loud noise. After that Issei began to change where her body turned into a dragon, and 3 pairs of wings grew out of her, leaving everyone in shock as well as seeing how horns grew out of her. Issei. I wanted to use this form to fight my king, but if death wishes so be it. Albion. What the hell happened to her? Greg. She's like my daughter, let's say she has everything of me. Now you'll feel that she's the real terror. While in the distance Issei looked at his new form with a smile. Everyone was in shock seeing Issei's appearance, even Irina was the only one who remained calm, Issei, who had a feeling that she would show something unique. Albion, is that possible to achieve or is it a new evolution? Albion. I've never seen such a thing in my previous wearers or the ones in red. Greg. I told you Albion, she trained harder than anyone, and now she is capable of achieving great things. This is getting more and more fun. He went towards Issei wanting to hit him, but she stopped him with one hand and gave him a big smile. Issei. Today you will feel what a defeat is, and a very painful one. Breaking Volley's arm where he then broke Volley's with his foot causing him to scream. He then threw him into the air and created a dragon shot in his hand and launched it hitting him squarely where some managed to hear his screams. Issei. Volley, do you think I came to play? I came to fight today and I hope you can help me. Going to Volley while he was getting up in a lot of pain. Volley, damn woman, I'll make you pay for what you did to me. Taking flight and beginning to divide Issei's power, but she instantly began to increase her power where she took flight in the same way and began to hit him from all sides until Volley fell to the ground and his armor was destroyed. Issei. You were born in a bad time Lucifer because as long as I live you will always live under my shadow and it will be like this for many years. Volley. How did you achieve such power? Issei. It's no use hiding it, maybe that way you'll fight me, and the answer is for you to train. Smiling at Volley's upset face. Issei. To be like me you must have a great king like the one I and Irina have, since he gave us this power. Michael. Irina, who is that person? Irina. She's someone I've loved since I was very little. Sona. Perhaps you also possess that power. Irina. I haven't been in your peerage for very long, but with the training I've done, I can defend myself well enough. Ollie. I see. So you're just with him for power lol that person is stupid to trust you. Both girls became serious upon hearing those words. Issei. Tell me Irina, do you want to join the fun? Irina. I thought you were never going to ask me. Starting to walk while a black fog enveloped her. Zenobia. Irina, are you stupid? Don't come near that fight. Irina. I'm not the same as before anymore because right now I have to put this idiot in his place for insulting my king. Where everyone saw a serious look in her eyes where the fog covered her completely seconds later she came out of the fog where everyone was in shock because of her great change. Since now she looked taller and as if something was enveloping her. In addition to her sword joining the black and purple fog. Issei. Not bad. Irina. Let's put that idiot in his place. Issei just laughed and they both launched into the attack. Issei on the other hand just looked at the situation from afar. Issei. You learned quickly Irina, in such a short time you have managed to activate such a form. If you continue like this, you will achieve many more things. Alert you have leveled up. Issei. With such a fight I'll even level up. Having a small smile on his face as he was pleased with the progress of both. Volley only received each blow with great pain where his armor was increasingly torn to pieces. Issei. Don't speak ill of him, otherwise you'll face the consequences. Punching him in the stomach where Volley spat out blood. Irina. I hope for support. Wrapping it with his sword where Volley screamed in pain as it was a fragment of Excalibur. Minutes later Volley was lying on the ground unconscious where Issei was about to finish him off until the barrier was destroyed and someone fell near Volley. Irina was about to attack, but Issei called her. Issei. Let them go. Irina, why? Issei. If they kill them now, Issei will have no one to have fun with later. Irina. Okay. Where the call ended and Irina saw Issei where she just nodded and both returned to their normal form. Iku for his part was surprised by Vali's state, but he took it better and left the place leaving a great silence. Bran. What does your king want in exchange for an exchange of pieces? Hearing that annoying voice, Issei turned around and looked at Ren as if he were an idiot. Issei. Ha 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 ha, are you an idiot? For your information, I had to wait many years for him to give me what I wanted, and now I am finally in his nobility. Successor. Who is it? Riaz. He can benefit from trading pieces with me since I am from a big family. Zenobia. You'll be better off here, Irina. Both girls looked at each other where they just nodded. Irina. Thanks for the offer, but it's better where we are. Henji. Don't you know what family we belong to? Issei. Believe me, I know very well, but remember one thing. Happiness is not eternal. Azazel. Hey, how did both of you and the Securite do that? Issei. I just said my name is Issei no Securite. And your question is easy. I trained a lot. Serafal. What is the name of your king? Issei. Hehehehe, they will know soon enough. Successor. One more thing, you know Haidu Issei isn't like that, and neither is you, Irina. Issei. Yes, why do you ask? Successor. Then call him and tell him to come forward because his parents accuse him of having stolen something very valuable years ago, and that is why he disappeared until now. If he does not come by good means, it will be by bad means where he will be accused of being a criminal. Issei. Know your place, Lucifer. Looking up where his eyes had changed to those of a dragon. Issei. I would do anything for Issei, and if he asked me to destroy the underworld, I would do it without thinking twice. Irina. I say the same thing. The leaders and both entourages were surprised upon hearing such a statement, as they had not expected such a thing. Michael, you're not like that, Irina. Irina. I spent many years with a childish attitude, but now I can act as I am. And if they mess with Issei, they mess with me. Issei. You are all warned, if you don't mess with me or Issei, I won't do anything, but if you do something you will know what a dragon is capable of. Henji. How pathetic that a girl protects that useless guy. Bran. He stooped so low to hide behind a girl. Saji. They won't always be able to protect him. Issei. I will help Issei, but just so you know, he can defend himself. Turning around and starting to walk just like Irina. Issei. If you don't mess with us we won't do anything, but if you do I hope you are prepared for the consequences. Where they did not take importance to the complaints of some, where they continued on their way until they left the academy, until they saw Issei and went to him. Issei, seeing them and having them close, just smiled at them and patted their heads, which they happily accepted. Issei. Tell me we did well. Issei. Very well, and to reward you I will cook today. Both of them were happy upon hearing that, and each took Issei's arm and headed home. 2 days had passed since the battle where Issei did not show up at the academy, since he had noticed how there were many soldiers from the underworld looking for him. Issei. You want me to finish them off? Issei. No, that's okay. If they kill them, we'll have more problems later. Irina. You won't be able to go to the academy like us because if you go, I won't go. Issei just sat on the couch and closed his eyes to think. Issei. Something's wrong. Issei. So that they don't bother us, we must get allies of the same level or higher than them. Issei. What you mean is that the 3 of us are more than enough. Issei. Not everything has to be strength. Issei. Irina. So. Issei. I've been thinking about it for a while. Getting up from the sofa and going to the window. Issei. I will create my own faction. Both girls were a little surprised upon hearing that, but were happy to hear it too. Issei. I like that idea. Irina. It will be something that no one will expect. Issei. But remember, if we do that we can gain both allies and enemies at the same time, since you wouldn't like to see someone rise out of nowhere. Issei. You're right, it won't be that easy, and we need a big place to settle. Issei. That's settled for now. I found an island and put up some barriers. Irina. Your plan is to seek an alliance with other factions, right? Issei. That's right. We need resources to get ahead for the men, there's no problem since I can use my soldiers. Issei. It won't be that easy to find people who want to be with us since, as you said, we'll be new to it and they won't have the confidence to do it. Irina. So. Issei. That's to be expected. Issei. Well, leaving that topic alone, why don't you take us to the island to see what it's like, and besides, vacations will be here soon, so we can have fun there. Issei turned around and nodded where he extended both of his hands, and both took it where they teleported to the island. When they arrived, they were both surprised by how big and beautiful it was. Issei. I was looking for a place to train and by chance I found it and I liked it and with time it will become bigger. Issei. We will always support you as your queens. Issei. Thank you. Irina. Issei, I know we left the topic of alliance a little while ago, but I notice you're still thinking about it. Issei. The biblical faction reunites with the Norsemen. Issei. Wait, how is that possible when they just made peace recently? Issei. I don't know, but that's how I managed to find that information. Irina. They are gaining a very strong ally since those from Asgard have many gods and warriors on their side. Issei. I know. We'll see how we find someone, but for now we have to have fun. They both nodded and followed Issei. Elsewhere, someone suddenly sat up from their bed, gasping for air. Since he remembered the beating he received from two people where when he got out of bed he fell to the floor, someone opened the door and entered the room. Lefei. Vali-sama, don't exert so much force. I've been asleep for a few days. Vali. I'm going to kill her. Lefei. First rest, yes. Helping him up and taking him to bed, he left the room again. Biku. From what I heard, he's already up. Lefei. Yes, but he's still hurt. Kuroka. Hahaha, I would have liked to see that fight Naya. Lefei. Kuroka-sama, don't say that. Kuroka. I'm just telling the truth, he always says how strong he is, but now he got what he deserved. Arthur. Leave that topic aside and see what you saw that day, Biku. Biku. I won't lie, those two people gave off great power, especially the Successor, who had the appearance of a dragon. The other person was enveloped in black shadows. Lefei. What kind of magic would it be, or maybe it will be a sacred gear? Arthur. As we saw in Vali's memories, they were both just pieces of someone. Lefei. It means that their king must be someone very strong to be able to handle the power of the Successor, but that would be impossible, since only someone with the power of a Mayu would achieve it. Kuroka. In short, someone will emerge from the shadows very soon and cause many disasters. Lefei. What kind of person will he be? In the underworld, the Haidu family was in the living room watching the fight again. Eru. That girl has completely mastered the power of that dragon. Ren. Father, you could take her on. Eru. I don't know, really, besides having such power he hasn't yet used what his king gave him. Henji. Only the other girl used the power of her king being that black mist. Nikki. I don't know any devil who has gotten new parts. Eru. He doesn't want to make himself known yet, but he will soon. But that's not the important thing right now. Henji. That idiot Issei has been hiding from us since he might have noticed. Eru. Surziches owed me a favor so I told him to look for it. Ren. Even if he communicates with the mass, they won't pay attention to him, since he's a nobody. Henji. He is so miserable that he went to seek help from humans, since he has another last name hahaha. Eru. We'll find him soon, and when I have him in my hands, I'll kill him. Destroying a cup he had in his hand. Time passed and Issei sent both girls to train in dungeons, where they were increasingly climbing levels where right now she was in a C rank. Issei on the other hand was facing the boss of an A+ rank. At the end the three of them left the portal where the most injured were the girls. Issei. I see it cost them. Did they not use all their power? Issei. I must learn to use yours too, I must not always depend on Drake. Irina. When I use that form I gain more strength and skill, but I also want to improve being myself. Because when I use it I will be even stronger. Issei. I understand but don't bother. Issei. And now what shall we do? Issei. We will go to the underworld. Irina. And that's it. Issei. The meeting of young devils will take place soon, and that same day the meeting with the Nordic faction will take place. Irina. And what will we go for? Issei. After observing a little, I have a feeling that something interesting will happen that day. Issei. It's fine by me, it'll be fun. Irina. I'll go wherever you go. Issei. Rest, we will leave at nightfall. They both nodded where they left while Issei stood there. Issei and company arrived at the underworld where they appeared in an alley. Issei. This is my first time here and it looks better than I thought. Irina. You thought it would be a depressing place, didn't you? Issei. Something like that, and well, where are we going? Issei just started walking where both followed him until minutes later they arrived at the room where the meeting was taking place. Irina. Let's go in. Issei. No. Walking to another side where both girls let out a sigh and followed him. Minutes later they entered a forest where both girls felt the aura of three familiar people. Issei. Those auras. Issei. There he is, Kaneko and Ren. Plus, there's one that looks familiar to me. Walking a little and staying a little far away to see the situation where I then observe a battle between Ren and Biku. Issei. I can go too, it looks fun. Issei. No, and someone's coming. Pointing to the sky where a large purple dragon instantly passed by, surprising both girls. Both Ren and Biku moved away a little, leaving only 3 people at that moment. Issei left his place, surprising the 3. Rias? What are you doing here? Issei. I just went out for a walk. Having a calm face as she looked at Kuroka where she had a feeling that she knew him but couldn't remember. Issei. Long time no see Kuroka. Kuroka. I don't know who you are. Issei. A few years ago we met in France under a bridge. Hearing that, she opened her eyes wide and got down from the tree as she walked towards Issei. Kuroka. I didn't think I'd see you again, Naya. Giving her a smile. Issei. Well, it was nice to see you again, I have to go. Kuroka. And I thought you would be more romantic, Naya. Just saying that made him feel a chill and looked back where he saw 2 very serious girls. Noticing that he smiled and hugged Issei. Kuroka. We're not kids anymore, how about we make kittens, Naya? Issei. You've really changed. Breaking away from the hug and leaving the place where they both gave Kuroka a big smile and followed Issei. As they left the forest they continued on their way until they heard an explosion. Issei. I knew this wasn't going to end well. Irina. You know what happens. Issei. Problems I guess, but that's where we come in. Ichinose. What do you mean? Issei. Just wait, I know you like what happens. Ichinose. If you say so, then so be it. Giving her a smile and going on her way. 2 days later the 3 of them were on top of a mountain watching a battle in the distance. Being the team of Rias, Sona, Ren and Kenji. Ichinose. And what do we have to do? Issei. I want you to bring me Fenrir and Jormungandr. Irina. And that's it. Issei. You'll see, but I want them brought to me dead. Ichinose. Okay, it's very easy. Irina, you go get that snake and I'll go get the little dog. Irina, good. Where they both jumped off the mountain and headed into battle. Ichinose. This will be fun. Irina. Don't go playing around because we have things to do. Ichinose. Fine, but I can hit at least 1. Irina. No. Ichinose. Just 1. Irina. Okay. Ichinose just smiled and jumped, activating her armor and going against Loki where he had Ren by the neck, but feeling a great power she turned around only to receive a blow. Ichinose. I liked it. Going against Fenrir and giving him several blows all over, leaving those present in shock and the leaders in the same way. Zenobia, seeing her former companion, was about to go with her, but stopped when she saw how shadows covered her, and she changed completely. Leaving everyone in shock again since she was different. Irina turned around and gave a big smile, scaring some people. Seconds later she launched an attack with a sword in her hand. Auden. I didn't know the Sekirute was on his side. Surziches. And it isn't, I have no idea how it got there. Watching the battle. Minutes later Ichinose cut off Fenrir's head as did Irina's Jormungandr's, where at the end they took both bodies. Kenji. Hey, what are you doing? Ichinose. None of your business. Kenji, hearing that, was about to attack her, but she got there first, firing a dragon shot at him. Irina. Let's go. Taking a great leap, Ichinose flew to where Issei was. Upon seeing them, he stood up again, and the group teleported to the island where they both laid both corpses on the ground. Issei. Come forth. Shadow extraction was not possible, you have 2 attempts left. Issei. Leave that god Loki alone and now protect me and my companions in future battles. Arise. Where instantly 2 shadows appeared being Fenrir and Jormungandr of large black and purple color where instantly. Alert. Both shadows are god class, give them a name. Issei. Both of them have good names so they will continue being Fenrir and Jormungandr. Seconds later she made the shadows disappear and Issei was about to fall to the ground, but both women stopped him in time and noticed that he was unconscious. Ichinose. It must have taken a lot of power to bring them back. Irina. How long do you think he'll sleep? Ichinose. I don't know, but I'll take care of him during that time. Irina. Okay, tell me what kind of allies we should have. Ichinose. I don't know. Taking Issei in his arms and taking him to the room where a week passed and Issei did not wake up, but they both took care of him day and night until he woke up. Issei. How long did I sleep? Irina. 1 week. Issei. Raising those 2 wasn't as easy as I thought, but it was worth it. Ichinose. It wasn't so boring without you. Putting a tray of food on his bed. Irina. Tell me Issei, what will the new faction be called? Issei. The Shadow Faction. The 3 of us had a second chance to be someone. Ichinose. Thanks to you, I am stronger. If I hadn't met you, I might be dead right now. Irina. Me too. Ichinose. Plus we have an army on our side, hahaha. Issei. I told you before that we also need help from other factions. putting the food tray aside and getting out of bed and going to the window. Issei. In 2 days we will leave for Kyoto. We have to make allies of the Akase, they are good at combat and searching. Irina. It won't be that easy. Issei. In life nothing is easy, Irina, and to get what you want you have to fight for it. Issei. I've been curious to go for a while, there are good places like the mixed baths. Giving a big smile to Issei, where the best didn't say anything. The 3 young people headed to Kyoto, where the 2 girls were the happiest since they could take it as a vacation, where hours later they arrived at their goal. Issei. What's the plan? Issei. You guys do what you want and I'll go talk. Irina. I wish you luck. Issei just nodded and left the place where he felt many presences everywhere. But even so he continued on his way until he was in front of a large mansion, and after seeing it for a bit, he left the place, entering an alley where he created a shadow. Issei. Go inside and look for the leader. The shadow just nodded and vanished while Issei just had his eyes closed to see the situation, and after searching he arrived at an office where the shadow returned to normal. The Yakai leader, seeing this, was about to attack since she did not sense the arrival of the enemy, but when she was about to do so the shadow began to change, where Issei came out with a calm look. Issei, seeing the Yakai leader, made a small bow. Issei. My name is Haidu Issei and I wish to speak to you. Isaka. That's no way to go in and talk to someone. Issei. I couldn't just touch since they wouldn't let me speak, so I had to use this measure. Isaka. What can I offer you? Issei. Don't worry, I don't come with the intention of doing anything bad since I just want to talk. Isaka narrowed her eyes and didn't notice anything wrong with Issei, so she just nodded. Isaka. Please take a seat. Issei. Thank you. Isaka. What do you want? Issei. Straight to the point, the truth is that I want an alliance with you. Isaka. Alliance? Which faction sent you? Issei. None are worth much, I created one, and I want to have allies. Isaka. You're joking, aren't you? A faction isn't created out of nowhere. Issei. It starts little by little. Isaka. How many are in your faction? Issei. For the moment 3. Isaka. That couldn't be called a faction, you know. Issei. But for the moment only the 3 of us can give war to some people. Isaka. Who are the other 2? Issei. A former exorcist and the Securitate. Isaka was surprised when she heard the last thing because she didn't expect that. Isaka. What do you want to do that makes you do such things? Issei. Protection, since some devils have a grudge against me. Isaka. And that's what you did to them? Issei. Nothing, but there is a family that hates me, and that family has a lot of power among the other families. Isaka. They must have a reason, right? Issei. The reason is easy, and it is because I did not die when I was a child. Isaka. What do you mean? Issei. My own family wishes for my death. Isaka. But. Issei. As you know, the biblical faction made an alliance and not long ago the Nordic faction joined. Isaka. I knew the first thing but not the last. Issei. I don't wish for any war, but sooner or later one will happen and I have to be prepared. Besides, they will soon come to talk to you. Isaka. I understand, but what do I gain by joining you since you don't contribute anything? In exchange I would give my soldiers. Issei. We will fight by your side no matter what. Isaka. Not everything is war, you know. Issei. I know, and that's why I came with you, since you could talk and I could fight. Isaka. If that's the case, wouldn't it be better for them to join my faction? Issei. It wouldn't be possible since over time new people will arrive who will be my allies. Isaka. You speak very confidently, you know. Issei. If I wasn't sure of my words, I wouldn't have come today. Isaka. How about a test to see how strong the leader of the new faction is? Issei. If that's what you want from me, that's fine. Isaka. I'll call someone, yes. Issei just nodded as Isaka stood up from her seat while Issei remained seated. Minutes later he returned with another girl. Nisama, what do you want so that you don't tell me anything the whole way? Looking ahead where he saw Issei. Isaka. Well, I wish for you to fight with this young man here, since I wish to see what he is capable of. Come on Kunu, I only trust you. Giving her a small smile. Kunu. Okay. Letting out a sigh at what was happening. Isaka. Okay Haidu Dono, please follow us. Issei just nodded and got up from his seat, and the 3 of them walked until they reached a small training place. Kunu. This is my private place, so I expect a good battle. Letting out his 9 tails and ears and taking an attack stance. Issei on the other hand also took an attack stance. Isaka was between both of them, and seconds later gave the signal for the fight to begin, where both of them launched into the attack. Kunu threw several blue spheres at him, which Issei evaded without much difficulty. When he was in front of Kunu, he tried to kick her, but she jumped back and landed elegantly. Kunu. This is just the beginning. Going against Issei wanted to hit him, but he stopped her and gave her a small smile that the kitsune didn't like, and seconds later she felt herself fall to the ground. Isaka was surprised to notice how a shadow knocked down her sister. Issei. You should know one thing, and that is that I do not fight alone. Where 20 shadows came out from behind him as they were more than enough. The kitsune sisters were shocked to see such a thing. Isaka thought. Now I understand. Having a small smile on his face. Kunu thought. Not bad, maybe he is the right one. Giving Issei a smile where he had a feeling that he wouldn't like what would happen next. Kunu raised both hands in defeat. Kunu. I can tell you're stronger with those things behind you. Plus, one of them has a lot of power for a high-level yakai. Seeing Igris where Issei vanished the shadows. Isaka. You alone command an army that has so many soldiers. Issei. For now 100. Isaka. It's very little, don't you think? Issei. Well, not long ago I just started recruiting and it's not as easy as you imagine. Kunu. But what was this battle for? Isaka. Easy, and it was to see if he was fit to be a faction leader, and I see that with time he would be someone to be feared. And I accept your proposal. Extending his hand where Issei smiled and took it. Issei. If you need my help, don't hesitate to call me. Isaka just nodded, and seconds later Issei disappeared from the place. Kunu. I'm lost, what happened? Isaka. Let's get you some tea and I'll explain it to you. Where she started walking and Kunu followed her. Issei appeared near both girls where they were happy to see him and asked him for an explanation where Issei told everything that happened, where both were happy to know that they fulfilled their first objective. That's it guys. Thanks for watching and supporting us. See you in the next part.